Coming in at 10, Juliana Margulies and Archie Punjabi. Now, I love and hate this rumor simply because I absolutely loved the show The Good Wife, and I adored both of these characters. The rumor goes though that Juliana Margulies and Archie Punjabi both hated each other so much they needed green screen to film their final scenes together because they couldn't stand being in the same room as one another. When Punjabi filmed her final scene on the series with Margulies, it was revealed that the two filmed it separately and had it stitched together in post-production. However, Margulies stated that this was just gossip and that Punjabi was filming her other show The Fall and couldn't make it back in time. However, things got heated when Punjabi took to Twitter to deny these claims, stating that The Fall wasn't even in production when the finale was filmed. Yikes. I actually went to the same university as Archie Punjabi. Fun fact. Coming in at 9, Beyonce faked her first pregnancy. This theory widely circulated the internet back in 2011 when the singer was expecting her first child, Blue Ivy. Now the theory goes that Beyonce was never truly pregnant with her child, and instead she commissioned a surrogate to bring her daughter to term, and she fooled everyone by wearing a prosthetic stomach. However, all was going well when we all found out the truth on live television, when the singer's stomach seemingly deflated as she was taking a seat on an Australian talk show. So of course, as soon as people saw this, they went crazy with theories. Things got so intense with the singer that in 2016, while pregnant with twins, she did a partially nude photo shoot to prove to the world that she was carrying her babies. Something she really didn't have to do, but our queen blessed us all. Coming in at 8, Gene Simmons' tongue. Kiss, as we all know, are a band that would do quite literally anything for attention, but none more so than bassist Gene Simmons. He is known for his long, really long tongue, and rumors began circulating about whether it was in fact real or not. Many actually suspect that the Kiss frontman had a cow's tongue grafted onto his own so that the persona as the demon would be more believable. However, the rock star has adamantly denied these claims, as you would. Coming in at 7, David Bowie and Mick Jagger. This rumor was cooked up on the Joan Rivers show back on May 4th, 1990, when Angela Bowie, ex-wife of David Bowie, spilled some dirt on her famous ex-husband. While on the show she claimed, I quote, "I caught him in bed with men several times. In fact, the best time I caught him in bed was with Mick Jagger." And when prompted to answer if they had their clothes off, she stated, "They certainly did." Up until that point, David Bowie had openly acknowledged his bisexuality, and although Mick Jagger had not made any such statement, rumor had it that the singer was known to sleep with men, perhaps even a bandmate or two. Coming in at 6, Phil Collins' In the Air Tonight. According to this rumor, the lyrics to the Phil Collins song In the Air Tonight are about the night he watched his friend die. Now the lyrics themselves are ambiguous, but one tale says that the song adapts an incident in which Collins was on a mountain and watched his friend drown in a lake below. Apparently there was a man nearby who could have saved him, but didn't. The rumor even goes as far as to claim that Collins invited the man to go to one of his concerts so that he could play the song for him in person. However, saying that Phil Collins has claimed many times that the entire Face Value album is about the end of a marriage. Coming in at 5, Michael Jackson slept in an oxygen chamber. Back in the 1980s, there was a rumor that the King of Pop owned a hyperbaric oxygen chamber and used to sleep in the rejuvenation tank because he believed it was extremely healthy and would prolong his life. Then in 1986, a photo was leaked of Jackson appearing to be sleeping in the oxygen tank, with many reports circulating at the time that the tank was in his home and that's where he would sleep. However, back in 1993, Jackson flat out said that he had never had an oxygen chamber in his home, and that the chamber he was pictured in was for his charity, the Michael Jackson Burn Center. Coming in at 4, January Jones's baby daddy. Back in 2011, January Jones gave birth to her son Xander, and to this day nobody knows who the father of the child is. However, that hasn't stopped people from speculating. Some have guessed that the father is her ex, Jason Sudeikis. Others think it was her X-Men First Class director Matthew Vaughn, who was married to Claudia Schiffer. However, the most likely person is Bobby Flay. This is because Flay's ex-wife, Stephanie March, once told a press room that the reason she got divorced was because Flay was having an affair with January Jones, and is the father of her son. So, there we have it, I guess. Coming in at 3, Steve from Blue's Clues. A ton of rumors circulated the news when Steve Burns left Blue's Clues back in 2002, and as most fans tend to do, they fabricated stories about the actor dying in a car accident, having a problem with alcoholism, and even being put in an insane asylum. In the world of the TV show, the character left under the premise that he was going off to college, and that's when his replacement came along, Joe and his big orange sweater. The real reason is far from what I previously mentioned though. He was going bald. I quote, "I know I wasn't going to be doing children's television all my life, mostly because I refused to lose my hair on a kids TV show, and it was happening. Fast. Respect." Coming in at 2, Richard Gere and the gerbil. Now, this rumour is perhaps the most absurd thing I've ever read in my entire life, and honestly, and I warn you before going into this that it is not nice and kind of upsetting. However, saying that, Richard Gere himself has called this infamous story an urban myth, and that it is completely untrue. Back in the 90s, Gere was coming off the success of films such as Pretty Woman, during which time the actor was supposedly rushed to Cedars-Sinai Hospital in LA for an emergency gerbilectomy. That's right, a gerbilectomy. According to reports, a gerbil was inserted inside of the actor with erotic intent. Yeah, I can't even say that with a straight face. Now, thankfully, there is no shred of evidence surrounding this claim. However, Gere has suspicions on who started this rumor, Sylvester Stallone. I quote, "Richard was fired from our movie set and to this day seriously dislikes me. He even thinks I'm the individual responsible for the gerbil rumor. Not true, but that's the rumor." And finally, coming in at number 1, Angelina Jolie slept with her brother. Angelina Jolie has always had an interesting dating history, from Billy Bob Thornton to Val Kilmer to Brad Pitt. However, the incident that always stands out to us is the 2000 Oscars. Jolie showed up with her brother James Haven as her date, and the two went as far as to share a passionate kiss together. Following the kiss, Jolie won an Oscar for her role in Girl Interrupted and said, "I'm in shock, and I'm so in love with my brother right now," before going on to say, "He just held me and said he loved me, and I know he's so happy for me." Okay, calm down. The internet, of course, was abuzz with speculation that the siblings were closer than they should be. However, the two have adamantly denied these claims, as you would, and as you should. Coming in at 10, JayZ and Rihanna had an affair. Now, this seems to be a rumor within a rumor, thanks to JayZ playing an instrumental role in Rihanna's career. Some even say that Rihanna actually made this rumor up herself to gain popularity. However, some say Ring the Alarm by Beyonce is about Rihanna and the affair she had with JayZ. There is so much swirling around this one. However, the rumor that most believe is that Solange Knowles beat up JayZ in the infamous elevator video because they had a run-in with Rihanna. Juicy indeed. They 100%. In at 9, Cher had ribs removed. According to this rumor, my favorite person in the world, Cher, had some ribs removed. Cher is known for her incredible pop hits such as Believe, If I Could Turn Back Time, and Gypsy Tramps and Thieves. However, she's also been outspoken about her plastic surgery. While her body has always been flawless, even at the age of 73, would smash, Cher refused to admit that she had 2 ribs removed to give her a smaller waist, something that has been speculated for years. I mean, to each their own. I don't really care. Ribs or not, still love her. But I have my doubts. Cher is loud, and I think she would have voiced this. Nothing but respect for my queen. Love each and every rib. In at 8, Magic Johnson got HIV at an orgy with Eddie Murphy. Yes, this one is a lot. In 1991, Irvin Magic Johnson announced that he had HIV, the result of a number of sexual encounters with women over the course of his basketball career. However, some people weren't sold on this, and rumors were abuzz that he actually got infected after an orgy Eddie Murphy threw that was attended by a handful of prostitutes. Further speculation ties Jermaine Stewart, the We Don't Have to Take Our Clothes Off singer, who died of complications to Johnson as well. In at 7, Khloe Kardashian is OJ's daughter. I mean, this one is a tale as old as time and has some merit, I think. If you look closely, there is a striking resemblance between sisters Kim and Kourtney. However, Khloe looks nothing like her sisters. This is rumored to be because her mother Kris had an affair with O.J. Simpson, a close friend of the family's, and that the incarcerated star might actually be Khloe's real father. However, Kris quickly hopped on the content train and had Khloe take a paternity test on an episode of Keeping Up with the Kardashians, which proved it was false. Sure, Jan. I mean, unless they actually got OJ to do it as well, I don't see how that works. We know Kris is the mother, we just want to know who the father is. In at 6, Oprah and Gayle are lovers. This has been a long time rumor that has floated around the internet for years. The theory goes that Oprah Winfrey and Gayle aren't just friends, they're actually a secret couple, and I'm so here for it. Gayle has no idea where the rumor came from or how it started, stating, "I've given up trying to figure that out. At this stage, if you still think that, it's on you. Honestly, Gayle, I still think it, and it's on me. And you're probably on Oprah right now." In at 5, Blake Shelton supports Paul Ryan. Blake Shelton was once spotted alongside Paul Ryan, with the singer snapped shaking hands with the Speaker of the House, Paul Ryan, at a restaurant. Of course, because of this, everyone believed that the two were in cahoots. However, Shelton was quick to shut down the rumors, saying that they just happened to bump into each other in matching outfits. Sure, they were both wearing camo, looked like they'd just come from shooting something. They're friends. In at 4, the NBA suspended Michael Jordan for gambling. In '93, after the Chicago Bulls won 3 championships, the NBA reportedly launched an investigation into whether the Chicago Bulls guard put bets on the game in which he played. Michael Jordan admitted to gambling, but insisted that the habit never affected his livelihood. Shortly after this, he stunned everyone by quitting the NBA to play baseball, and the investigation was ultimately dropped. The theory is that NBA chief David Stern and Jordan colluded to have him quit for a period of time so that he could re-enter the league and avoid all of the mess and not be in trouble. Respect. In at 3, Taylor Swift dumped Calvin Harris for buying sex. According to this rumor, when DJ Calvin Harris was spotted leaving a cheap massage parlor known for illegally selling sex, he was very quick to deny the rumors. However, that didn't stop the rumors from happening. Then of course his relationship with Taylor Swift ended not long after. Could there be a connection between the two? Did she end the relationship because he was paying for sex? Who knows? Who cares? In at 2, Mikey from the Life commercial stomach exploded. This urban legend centers on Mikey, the kid who hated everything except Life cereal. The rumor was that that young boy had ingested a mixture of Coke and Pop Rocks, and in turn it made his stomach explode, with the boy dying instantly. However, to debunk this theory, John Gilchrist is very much alive, but will the combination kill you? That's something we don't want to find out. It probably doesn't kill you, but you never know. Should I try it on camera? I'm turning 27. I'll do it on my birthday and then we'll see if I live. 27 Club, here I come. And finally, coming in at number 1, Jennifer Lawrence caused Chris Pratt's divorce. According to some theorists, J-Lo caused the split between Chris Pratt and Anna Faris. Crazy I know, but possibly true. When Pratt starred alongside Lawrence in the movie Passengers, rumors were abuzz that the pair were having a steamy affair. It even became so rampant that Chris's now ex-wife Anna addressed the rumors, with all of them adamantly denying it. However, Faris later admitted publicly that her concern about her husband's alleged infidelity was a factor that led to their eventual divorce. More bizarre still, Lawrence is still friends with both Pratt and Faris. Way to play both sides.
Number 10, an advocate for Maui. Oprah has been claiming to be many things since this Maui backlash thing has started. A good boss, a charitable woman, and an advocate for the island of Maui. By starting this fund and donating her spare millions, she's made her mark in the public as a woman who cares. So much so that she's asking you to give her your money. Isn't that nice? As mentioned in previous videos, Oprah would not care about Maui or its people if she didn't have a vested stake on the island. Oprah's had property in Maui for quite some time, being almost a second home to her. When the fire started raging, she started fundraising. Think about all of the things that have happened in the past few years. We all forgot about Australia being set on fire in 2020. A lot of Western Canada was on fire earlier this year, and some parts of Florida have been underwater for a long time, and they just kind of live with it. Yet Oprah has dedicated her time and money to helping out the area where she has a vacation home. Do with that what you will. Number 9, the NDAs. Confidentiality agreements are not uncommon in the world of Hollywood. Marvel will literally track you down if you say anything about their movies to anyone. In Kitty Kelly's tell-all book about Oprah, the author mentions there were confidentiality agreements that co-workers and guests were made to sign. This included everyone from Tom Cruise to the guy who made his breakfast in the morning. Over 500 staff members were forced to sign these documents, with one former employee, Elizabeth Cody, trying to write a book about her time working for Oprah, but she was eventually stopped by the courts, still being tied to the agreement. The NDAs were not meant to be a way to just keep show secrets safe, but any and all of Oprah's secrets as well. According to Elizabeth, the document was signed by almost everybody in Oprah's life, and she may have had this brand of sweetness and kindness, but that it was just not how she was. Elizabeth felt that she was in Oprah's pocket after she signed the paperwork. In 2010, there was even a lawsuit filed against Oprah and her company from a training performance center that was claiming that they were fired for violating the terms of her agreement, but all they did was just advertise that they were doing stuff for her show, so I'm not sure what's wrong there. Number 8, Diva. On air, Oprah is portrayed as this wholesome, sweet lady, but according to her stepmother, there's actually this unknown side to Oprah, hidden from fans for years. According to Barbara, Oprah is one of the most controlling people that you're ever gonna meet. She claims that Oprah does not allow herself and her husband to stay at Oprah's home whenever they try to visit, which means that they have to stay in hotels with money out of their own pockets. Barbara also said that Oprah was very quick to anger when it came to her staff especially, with a lot of people being fired over the years left and right for the littlest things. things. But that's not all. Despite being a billionaire, Barbara allows Oprah to stay at her home when she visits, which she just complains about the entire time. The first time she ever stayed there, Oprah allegedly complained that her bed sheets weren't 1,000 threads and that her bath towel wasn't big enough, but that's fair. This woman has billions of dollars to do literally anything she wants, and what she wants to do is make her family feel like a burden to the world. Number 7. Controversial beliefs. Oprah has had plenty of controversial people onto her show, from so-called medical experts to psychologists to celebrities. Whatever's good for TV, it's good for Oprah. One particular incident that caused a ton of backlash for Oprah was when she did an interview with Suzanne Summers. She was brought onto the show to share her beauty secrets on how she was able to look so young. According to Summers, this treatment that she does on a regular basis would help people. She claimed that she rubs estrogen cream into her skin on one arm and smears progesterone into the other arm. Progesterone is just a fancy way of saying steroids. She also claimed that she took 60 supplements and vitamins a day, 40 in the morning and 20 before bed. What really stirred the pot was that this woman claimed to be a health expert and self-help author, but surprise, surprise, doctor, she was not. Medical experts started bashing Oprah, claiming that this type of extreme hormone therapy was actually the cause of several diseases and illnesses, like cancer. Despite Suzanne's claims that her specially made non-FDA approved bioidenticals were natural and safe, they were actually just synthetic conventional hormones that you could buy from a pharmacy. A little label smacked on the front. Oprah did everything in her power to sell this idea to her audience, believing 100% that these methods were useful, even claiming to have used the methods to make herself feel incredible. So Oprah would rather risk her audience getting cancer than telling them the truth. Solid. Number 6. The free cars. Who could forget Oprah's famous words? You get a car, you get a car, everybody got a car! The moment was historical on her series and was parodied time and time again, and it still does to this day. However, what a lot of people do not know is that it wasn't as simple as here's some car keys, go have fun. That would be insane. No, when someone gives you anything on television, especially if it's free, there's a catch. For Oprah's audience, the catch was that if they wanted to drive away in their brand new car, they'd have to pay over $7,000 in taxes first. While Oprah's studio would cover the sales tax and registration for the cars, their audience members were given a choice to either pay $7 grand and take the car, or just simply keep that cash instead. The famous moment she shouted this on the show featured 11 real teachers who were, according to Oprah, in desperate need of a new car. They, along with the audience members, received keys in a box on camera that Oprah claimed to be for their new cars. Everything has a catch though, even now. For someone who was known for being charitable and generous, the word free really does mean something different to Oprah. Number 5. The fabricated memoirs. This is a time when Oprah kind of ruined someone's life when she brought them onto her show. Oprah launched her book club in 1996, a reading encouraging segment from her talk show that turned any book that she chose into a bestseller. In September 2005, Winfrey picked A Million Little Pieces, a brutal and painful memoir by James Frett about his years-long struggle with substance control issues. A Million Little Pieces became the best-selling nonfiction book of that year, and Frey was asked to appear on her talk show to discuss the book that Oprah called gut-wrenching. However, the following year, a news outlet ran a very expositive article about Frey after it was discovered that he made up or juiced large portions of his memoir. For example, there is a section of the book that tells a story of Frey surviving a fatal train crash that took the lives of 2 teenagers. Well, he was never on that train and he didn't have anything to do with that situation. He just wrote about it and was like, I was there. Weeks after the article broke, Oprah asked Frey to return to the show, where he faced livid viewers and an even more livid Oprah. She told James that she felt duped and betrayed, which was a feeling that was shared by her audience and millions of readers around the world. When she asked James why he felt the need to lie to herself and her readers, he tried everything, making every excuse he could think of, and he claimed that he altered a lot of details, but that the overall plot was real. While the studio audience responded with a massive wave of boos, gasps, and groans, and Winfrey later apologized for the mistreatment from her audience, because that wasn't her intention. But the damage was already done, and this dude's career as a writer is non-existent. Number 4. Lance Armstrong. 7-time Tour de France winner Lance Armstrong has gone down in history as a man who's unable to ride a bike without chemical training wheels. In an interview with Oprah Winfrey in 2013, Lance was brought on to discuss the allegations floating around regarding his status as a Tour de France winner. Several sources claimed that Lance had to take performance-enhancing substances to win each and every race, as well as a type of transfusion involving the red life juice that flows inside all of us. Armstrong went on air and fessed up to every single thing that people were claiming claiming he had done. However, he did deny the notion that he was like a mastermind who would control his teammates and force them to join in his extracurricular activities. But amidst his admission of guilt, say that 10 times fast, there was a moment where he tried to pin the situation on his battle with cancer. He wraps it up by saying that he should have tried harder to cancel the culture rather than to create a problem. Well, unfortunately for him, he was stripped of all 7 Tour de France titles and has since lived in exile among the cycling community. Number 3. Where's the beef? In spring of 1996, the United Kingdom apparently experienced an outbreak of bovine spongiform encephalopathy, or mad cow disease, since I can't pronounce that last word. According to the FDA, the disease destroys cows' central nervous system, and if humans eat the infected meat, you get zombies that can't count. No, you can contract a deadly variant called Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease, probably named after the first dude who got the disease. During the mad cow scare, the Oprah Winfrey Show booked Howard Lyman. The former cattle rancher had adopted a vegetarian lifestyle, and he went to work for the Humane Society's Eating with Co-Science Animal Welfare campaign, and he appeared on the show to discuss the threat of mad cows to America. He pointed out that feeding the remains of mad cow to infected cattle or other animals could have facilitated the spread, and that a lot of that was happening in the US right then and there. Oprah was stunned and vowed that she would never eat another burger ever again. Well, it turns out her influence and her millions of viewers were so large that only a few hours after the episode aired and she declared that she wasn't eating hamburgers ever again, the price of beef stock plummeted, staying at an all-time low for 2 months. In fact, one Texas rancher lost an estimated $6.7 million and organized a class action lawsuit against Oprah and her show for talking trash about beef. After a 6-week trial, she won, leaving one dude with no farm and out hundreds of thousands of dollars in legal fees. Number 2. Trespasser. So, there's a video circulating the internet that a lot of people are interpreting as a direct message to Oprah Winfrey. Jason Momoa released a video on his Instagram a few weeks ago urging tourists not to come to Maui as the place was on fire and, they didn't need anybody's help. He claimed that he appreciated anyone sharing love for the people of Maui and continued to say that there was someone trying to scam people out of money that was pretending to be him online. After sharing links to several sites that were directly linked to putting money into the pockets of the people of Maui, fans decided to focus on the bit about people staying away. Now, at the same time that this was happening, Oprah and The Rock had announced the People's Fund of Maui, and the thing was that caused a lot of backlash for Oprah. And in Jason's video, he does not include a link to the charity and doesn't even acknowledge its existence. He has since spoken about the charity, but has never actually said the names Oprah or Dwayne out loud. People are just putting 2 and 2 together though, and the internet has decided that Jason Momoa has called Oprah Winfrey a trespasser. Number 1. Whoopi Goldberg. In author Kitty Kelly's unauthorized Oprah biography, Kelly claims that Whoopi Goldberg became a persona non grata, or an unwelcome person in Oprah's life, after Whoopi was nominated for an Oscar for her role in The Color Purple. The book noted that following the honor, the comedian never appeared on Oprah's show again and was noticeably shunned from her 2006 Legends Ball. It wasn't until Oprah invited the entire cast of The Color Purple onto the show that the so-called feud was addressed. It turns out that Oprah had actually ran into Whoopi at Tyler Perry's party sometime after the 2006 snub. Goldberg confronted Oprah, leading to a hilariously adorable moment where Oprah asked why Whoopi was mad at her, to which Whoopi was like, "I'm not mad at you, I thought you were mad at me, what's going on here?" They mutually agreed that they really should have just picked up the phone a long time ago and figured the whole thing out and settled the dispute.
Coming in at 10, Tom Cruise is an alien. Tom Cruise, as we know, is one of the most famous members of the Church of Scientology. There is so much mystery surrounding the church, but particularly surrounding the galactic ruler Xenu. According to the Washington Post, Scientologists believe that Xenu once expelled humans to Earth from another planet, and their disembodied spirits live in everyone. Saying that, many have theorized that Cruise is in fact part alien spirit. It has also been rumored that Cruise built an alien bunker at his Colorado estate out of fear that Xenu would attack again. Coming in at 9, Walt Disney's body. Now, prior to Walt Disney's death, his health had been deteriorating for many months before he finally agreed to enter St. Joseph Hospital in California on November 2nd, 1966, where a walnut-sized spot was discovered on his left lung. After a successful surgery and 2 weeks of post-operative care, Disney was released from the hospital before growing too weak and returning to the hospital again. His health then began to fail even more, and Walt died 2 weeks later when his circulatory system collapsed on the morning of December 15th, 1966. Following his death, numerous claims were made that his body was frozen somewhere at Disneyland, specifically under the Pirates of the Caribbean attraction. Yikes. Coming in at number 8, Dolly Parton's ribs. Like Cher on our previous list, Dolly Parton has also been the subject to ridiculous rumors about her tiny frame. However, the singer clarified that she's never undergone any such surgery during a 2014 interview with Woman's Day. I quote, "I went into a restroom in Los Angeles years ago and this girl said, 'Oh, I want you to tell me, does that really hurt?' I was like, 'What? Does what hurt?' She said, 'Like when they take your ribs out.'" She then went on to debunk the rumor, saying that her waist is little because nothing grows in the shade. Coming in at 7, Ted Cruz is the Zodiac Killer. The Zodiac Killer is a pseudonym of an unidentified serial killer who operated in Northern California from at least the late 1960s to the early 1970s. The killer targeted 4 men and 3 women between the ages of 16 and 29, with 2 of the men surviving attempted murder. After years of searching, the true identity of the killer has never been discovered. However, there are some out there who believe it to be Texas Senator Ted Cruz. Now, there is no evidence suggesting that this is even remotely true, other than the fact that the senator bears a small resemblance to the sketch of the killer. In fact, an exhaustive investigation by the Washington Post revealed that Cruz was born in 1970, while the first known killing by the Zodiac was in 1968. However, that hasn't stopped people from speculating. Coming in at 6, Cameron Diaz's face. Now, this one is just bizarre, honestly. In 2011, Pop Sugar asked Cameron Diaz what the weirdest rumor she had ever heard about herself was, and she said, "It's that I only wash my face with Evian water." So where does the theory come from? The actress went on to state, I quote, "We live our lives in trailers. Actors are like circus folk. People don't realize that it's super unglamorous. And the water in the trailer comes from tanks they put chemicals in so that it doesn't freeze. It's like antifreeze. You would never wash your face with it. So anyone who washes their face at work would have to use bottled water to wash their face. There's a grain of truth in everything that someone has taken it and just spoiled it. So was someone ruining everything for everyone?" Coming in at 5, Justin Bieber is a reptile. According to some theorists and Australian news website Perth Now, during one of Justin Bieber's visits down under a few years back, hundreds of eyewitnesses apparently saw their idol turn into a giant reptile. Now, allegedly, several witnesses served up some incredibly interesting quotes, including, "There were girls hiding in toilets, crying, guys were running for the exits, jumping in taxis to get out of there." Classic. Apparently, the star in his reptile form has a black stripe down the middle, and big scaly claws that lash out angrily. Now, of course, there is no evidence to confirm the rumor, not to mention the fact that the idea of a lizard person is biologically impossible. But coming in at 4, Marilyn Manson. Rumor has it that before launching into his music career, shock rocker Marilyn Manson played Kevin Arnold's sidekick, Paul Pfeiffer, on the popular TV series The Wonder Years. However, Pfeiffer was in reality played by Josh Saviano. But the rumor doesn't stop there. According to theorists, Saviano grew up, changed his name, and reconfigured his career to become satanic rock singer Marilyn Manson. In reality though, the singer was 19 years old when the Wonder Years began, meaning he would have been far too old to play pre-teen Pfeiffer. Again, people don't like math, so they don't want to do that. Coming in at 3, Mr. Rogers' sweaters. Born Fred Rogers, he was a television personality, musician, puppeteer, writer, producer, and Presbyterian minister. He was also the creator, showrunner, and host of the preschool television series Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. Now, the star was known for his adorable sweaters, but this rumor goes that he wore those sweaters to cover up the tattoos from his time as a Navy SEAL. However, the truth of the matter is, Fred Rogers never served in any war. He was actually a devoted Presbyterian minister who neither smoked nor drank. Sad times. Can't relate. In at 2, Taylor Swift is a clone. A couple years back, an image cropped up online of a woman named Zena LaVey, a high priestess of the Church of Satan. However, it was incredibly difficult not to see the striking resemblance between herself and pop star Taylor Swift. Of course, it wasn't long before rumors began swirling, including one that stated Swift was a clone of LaVey. I quote, "The conspiracy theory is that Swift was taken and replaced by the Illuminati with a clone of LaVey, who is apparently a member of a secretive cult, according to BuzzFeed. Neither Swift nor LaVey have debunked the rumor, therefore it must be true." True. And finally, coming in at number 1, Beyonce kidnapped Sia. In 2016, this crazy theory emerged on Brazilian social media that Beyonce kidnapped fellow pop star Sia and was holding her hostage as her songwriter. Lol. A hashtag even began trending on Twitter called Save Sia. The rumor seemed to have begun because of a misinterpreted article back in 2015 in Billboard in which Sia said that collaborating with Beyonce is like a writing camp and that she's very Frankenstein when she comes to the songs. I don't know how that suggests kidnapping, but to each their own, I guess. Like, was Beyonce down in a basement cutting up people's limbs and sticking them to Sia? I don't think so.
Number 10. Jada's biases. When the Oscars So White controversy erupted in 2016, Will and Jada were among the most vocal critics of the Academy. For the second year in a row, all 20 of the actors nominated in the lead and supporting role categories were white, something that had not happened since 1998. Jada released a much publicized and highly mocked video explaining why she was boycotting the event, hoping to shine a spotlight on institutional racism. However, the majority of Hollywood was well aware that Jada was being a massive hypocrite, as during an episode of Red Table Talk, the actress confessed to her own tendency to judge others, revealing she specifically had a problem with blonde white women. According to Jada herself, blonde hair on a woman just kinda sets her off, and she's had to hold herself back a few times. She went on to reveal that she had actually turned down several interviews over the years simply due to the interviewer being a white blonde lady. She claims that her bias is due to her history of being bullied by women with those physical traits growing up. Now, I don't know, I got bullied all the time, but you don't see me running away from everyone who wears camo. Number 9. Bad mom. Rumors have been flying around for years that Willow and Jaden Smith basically raised themselves. Their upbringing was nothing to scoff at. Jaden was on track to become an actor after starring in the 2008 remake of the classic Karate Kid series, alongside martial arts and opera legend Jackie Chan, but later shifted his focus to more entrepreneurial side of things, developing his own fashion brand, which has garnered him massive success. His sister Willow opted to stick with her creative roots, however, and has made quite the name for herself in the hip-hop genre. Unfortunately, their behavior comes from a place of neglect. During an episode of Red Table Talk, Jaden confronted his parents, calling out their terrible parenting skills. With both being so busy in their careers, they were never home to care for the youngsters. Jaden and Willow recount spending a majority of their childhood with various nannies and teachers, only seeing their parents between projects or if they were working with them, like Jaden and Will in The Pursuit of Happiness. Willow has backed up her brother's story, claiming that the parenting skills forced them to become mentally mature at a very young age, which may play some part in Jaden's success at just 24. Despite appearing to be a happy family unit in the media, the reality is Jaden and Willow have been raising themselves for a very long time. Number 8. Their relationship is driven by money. The Smith family has been at the top of the news storm for a long time, since it was announced that the Red Table Talk show was going to be cancelled, and since Will Smith got a little too mad on stage. One topic that was brought up on her talk show before its cancellation was the revelation of an entanglement between Pinkett and a singer-songwriter named August Alsina during a brief break that the couple was taking in the early 2000s. Pinkett was quick to bounce back though after breaking up with Will, entangling with August, and eventually getting back with Will to continue their marriage. It's not all sunshines and rainbows though, as the couple still has marital issues to this day and have been plagued with cheating rumors ever since. They've been thrown even further under the bus by their own kids, Willow and Jaden, who claim that the family is highly dysfunctional behind the scenes. Together, Jada and Will carry around a dark storm cloud of negative energy and spread it to everyone they interact with. You would think these guys would just split and save each other the mental hassle, but just look at Will's house. That thing could fit thousands of people inside of it. Them splitting up would mean losing their fancy house, and we wouldn't want that, huh? We wouldn't want that, real estate brokers of Los Angeles, would we? Number 7. She's manipulative. Many things about Jada's personality made celebrities speculate that she may have a hidden evil personality deep within her. Well, the 94th Academy Awards were very interesting. After host Chris Rock made a joke about Jada's balding head, Will Smith initially laughed, but then he looked at Jada, who is seen rolling her eyes and giving him an "are you kidding me" kind of look. The look was enough to force Will's smile away and cause him to do a complete 180, taking the stage to defend his wife. Jada is most certainly the reason that this situation took place, despite claiming that she can't make Will do anything. Maybe she didn't do it, but she did encourage him to defend her name, and she did have the power to stop her husband from ruining his career. It's not hard to hold someone's hand and go, "Honey, I am mad, but please leave Chris Rock alone." Number 6. She made Snoop Dogg cry. Just after Kobe Bryant passed away in 2020, Snoop Dogg was quick to call out Gate King after she stated in a TV interview that in the past, Kobe was accused of making unwanted advances on a woman that wasn't his wife. In an Instagram video, Snoop Dogg would call out King, and in the process, he insulted King's appearance before telling her to back off before he came to get her. She would bring Snoop Dogg on Red Table Talk, where she would embarrass him not just in front of her mother and her daughter, but in front of the entire world. After she told the rapper rapper that she felt hurt on behalf of all women when she watched the video of him going after Gayle. As a result, Snoop would be so embarrassed that he would make another video on Instagram where he apologized to King by saying, when you're wrong, you gotta fix it. This was a derogatory manner based off emotions, and he was raised better than that, so he wanted to apologize to her publicly for the language that he used. Jada somehow made Snoop Dogg retract a statement. That man is a sweetheart, but he can be terrifying if he wants to. This isn't really a rumor, I just wanted the world to know that she made a friendly giant cry on the internet. Number 5. Cheating scandals. For a long time now, Will and Jada have attempted to hide their various marriage misdeeds from the media, but they've never actually been successful at it. While both have been rumored to have been cheating on each other multiple times, it was Jada who was confirmed to be the real cheater. While rumors have been circulating that Will was romantically involved with his co-star Margot Robbie from Focus, those were quickly laid to rest thanks for the entire crew of the project confirming that any photos taken of them on set and in character. Jada, however, was most certainly cheating on Will a few years prior with her Hawthorne co-star Mark Anthony. And the proof? Well, Will walked in on them getting jiggy with it and was reduced to tears according to Jada. While they were able to hide it at the time, the conversation that took place between herself and Will on the now cancelled Red Table Talk was quite revealing. Not only did this cheating scandal take place, but Jada briefly entangled with a musician named August Alsina when they separated back in the day. This woman really needs to chill. Number 4. She was forced to marry Will. Not only has Jada gone on to roast Will Smith for his actions at both the Oscars and in life in general, but she also shared in an episode of Red Table Talk in 2018 that she cried while walking down the aisle on her wedding day because she never wanted to get married. Rumors had been spread for years that the couple were somehow forced to be together. In the video, Jada could be seen talking about her wedding with Will Smith, and in this, she confesses that she didn't want to get married. She only ended up doing it because her mother forced them to, because Jada was pregnant with Jaden while the two were still dating. She claimed that her mother was not going to be accepting the newborn if the two were just still dating when he was born, so they decided to tie the knot. She then went on to describe how terrible her wedding day was. Oh, was it terrible when everything was really expensive and pretty? That sucks. Number 3. She's a scientist. Although Jada has tried to claim that she isn't a member of the Church of Science, she has been connected to the controversial religion for years. To a point, even an ex-scientist named Leah Remini told the Daily Beast in 2017 that she knew Jada. She's been involved with the church for a long time, and she claimed that she had never seen Will there, that she saw Jada at the Celebrity Center. Lee would then later appear alongside Jada in 2018 on her talk show, where the pair settled the dispute, where Jada claims that the stories are outlandish, but that she did attend some events. Number 2. She wanted to get divorced for years. Breakup rumors have plagued this couple since they first got together in 1997, but they rarely ever came forward to comment on the gossip. However, when the whole Margot Robbie rumor thing began to circulate, Will decided to finally speak up and clear the record. Himself and Jada were not getting divorced, and he was not dating Margot Robbie. Jada backed up the statement on Entertainment Tonight when the question of why people seemed to want them to fall apart came up. While they presented a united front, conversations later on the matter suggested that these two had at least spoken about it at one point or another. During Will's appearance on Red Table Talk, the topic came up again, and Will said that he would never get divorced as it was something that he had already done and would like to avoid repeating if possible. Jada laughed and said, yeah, not an option. But when she had Toni Braxton on as a guest, she claimed that she simply wasn't mature enough to get divorced, which makes it sound like she's down to leave Will, she just can't do it right now. Jada is just counting down the days till she finally turns 18 mentally and kicks his butt to the curb. And at number 1, she yelled at Barbie. Although Jada and Will have been married since 1997, it's clear that she doesn't think her marriage is really as strong as it is, to the point where she once confidently felt that Margot Robbie could sweep in at any moment and steal her man. Even though the couple isn't an open marriage, Jada can be a hardcore jealous person when it comes down to it. She lashed out at Margot on set of the film Focus while herself and Will were filming one day. Unfortunately, her biases towards blonde white women got the better of her in this situation, as there was lots of proof that Will and Margot were just friends, but hey, why focus on hardcore evidence? Number 10. Katy Perry collects hair. The singer was once asked during an interview a very simple and cute question of, "What's in your purse?" And fans perhaps hoped that she would respond with a bottle of Killer Queen or a cupcake
cupcake crumb, but Katy Perry answered, it's just a big empty bag. But she went on to describe what used to be in the purse. She claimed that while in attendance at her first Grammy Awards ceremony, she got to share a dressing room with Miley Cyrus and Taylor Swift. Now with all that excitement, you'd think she'd ask for a picture or something, right? No, she asked them for a lock of each of their hairs, which Katy found, quote, totally awesome. Well, her definition of the word awesome must be very different from ours, because this sounds just creepy as all heck. She then elaborated that she would tie little bows to each of them and put them in her purse. Now this sounds so made up, how could it be true? Well, Miley and Taylor actually backed up this story online, and Perry claims to this day that Miley Cyrus is both the most famous person in her purse and in her contacts. Oh, hey, Katie, I think you dropped something. Number 9. Ellen mistreats employees. In her first on-air appearance since announcing the end of her eponymous daytime talk show, Ellen DeGeneres called the press cycle around allegations of toxicity at her workplace orchestrated and misogynistic. The announcement that her show would be cancelled came after months of receiving negative press following a BuzzFeed article reporting former employees alleging that the environment was racially insensitive, filled with harassment and bullying. Ellen maintained in interviews that these allegations were not the reason that she would be leaving the show, simply claiming that the program was no longer challenging for her. While the BuzzFeed report did not allege toxic behavior by Ellen herself, several former staff members claimed that the whole "be kind" motto she had was not genuine at all, which was reflected in a Twitter thread published by comedian Kevin T. Porter. He asked people to send in their horror stories about the host's rudeness over the years, and he received over 2,000 replies. Warner Brothers opened an investigation and concluded that there were some flaws in the day-to-day management at the studio. Following this, Ellen appeared on the 18th season premiere of her show in 2020 and made an on-air apology to viewers, claiming responsibility, later stating that there was no way she could know the true nature of the work environment due to the 255 employees that worked for her across multiple buildings. Hey, ever heard of like a complaint box? Number 8. Prince Charles's affair. He's now the King of England, but he's not always played by the rules. You see, in 1981, Prince Charles, at the time, married Lady Diana, who was 20 years old at the time, leaving a 13-year age gap between them. Behind closed doors, it was speculated that Charles was never in love with Diana in the first place, and it was later proven to be true. While on the outside things seemed pleasant, behind the scenes, Charles was secretly meeting up and having an affair with his ex-girlfriend, Camilla Bowles. The alleged relationship was written about in the 1992 Diana Her True Story book, but in 1994, Charles confirmed the allegations in a documentary, because that's a great place to do that. The couple filed for a divorce in 1996, and Diana died 1 year later. While the now king made it clear that he had no plans to remarry, he ended up getting remarried in 2005 to, oh hey, look, it's Camilla Bowles. Shocking. Number 7. Jonathan Majors charges. Jonathan Majors may be familiar to those of you who are fans of the MCU as Kang the Conqueror, the newest big bad addition to the never-ending roster of villains in Marvel's Rogue Gallery. Unfortunately, it looks like he may end up getting the CGI eraser treatment due to an incident in March of this year. Majors was arrested on misdemeanor charges of and following a domestic dispute with his girlfriend. These charges, however, would only be the first domino to fall, as rumors began circulating about similar instances in the past, with many people in both the Yale community, where he went to school, and the New York theater scene, where he studied and practiced performing, claiming Majors was well known for being emotionally violent and professionally abusive, but never physically violent. While Majors is currently in a battle to prove his innocence, claiming the situation to have been blown out of proportions, a series of texts uncovered by his lawyer seemingly proved that there was some merit to the incident. They showed Majors' girlfriend had passed out during the incident and as such had to be hospitalized, where she was reported to have several bruises and scratch marks throughout her entire body. This meant that the charges would stick, and Majors is definitely on his way to the bottomless pit of cancelled celebrities. Number 6. Caitlyn Jenner's transition. Now, this one isn't disturbing because of Caitlyn, it's because of how many people felt that her business needed to be a part of their lives. Let people live, you jerks. Rumors had been circulating of Caitlyn's transition since the early 1970s. The former Olympian had publicly denied these rumors for years, with many family members and friends even backing her story up time and time again. But in 2015, the rumors had begun surfacing again due to Jenner being spotted leaving a doctor's office by a tabloid journalist, supposedly after just receiving estrogen treatments. Jenner had also recently undergone reconstructive surgery, which seemed to only add more fuel to the fire. The photo taken and the speculation began to go viral, despite Jenner not being fully out at the time. But a few months later, following these events, she came out as transgender on a highly publicized interview for Diane Sawyer. In the interview, Jenner expressed the gender identity struggles that she has faced through her entire life, having to hide her true self in order to maintain some macho, sporty persona and for fear of not being accepted. Even revealing that her first wife, Christy Scott, was the first to really understand her struggles, and despite being divorced in 1998, she's publicly expressed her well wishes towards Caitlyn and how proud she is for being herself. You go, girl. Number 5. Kevin Spacy. For a long time, Kevin Spacy was well known in the Hollywood community as a quality actor with a steady career and no signs of that stopping. That was until October 2017, when a BuzzFeed article, once again, had been published alleging that Spacy had made unwanted advances towards a then 14 Anthony Rapp. Spacy was quick to deny the speculation, claiming it to be another Hollywood scandal to fill screen time, but since the release of that article, 30 more people have come forward with their own allegations against Spacy, ranging from harassment to attempted assault. Spacy pulled back, fake apologizing for what he says must have been some drunken behavior to Rapp, and he even attempted to shift the subject by coming out of the closet. But the truth had already been set free, and becoming a part of the now famous Me Too movement, Spacy was dropped from all projects he was involved in and has been on Hollywood's blacklist ever since, where he rightfully belongs. Number 4. Tiger Woods' infidelity. Since 1999, the famous golfer had not gone a single year without winning at least one golf major championship. In fact, between the years of 1997 and 2008, he had won 14 majors. He was married to a model, had a beautiful home, and pockets full of cash. What more could you want? Apparently for Tiger, he wanted someone that wasn't his wife. In late November 2009, Tiger was seen by neighbors being chased out of his home by his wife, Ellen Nordegren, with a golf club, before peeling out of his driveway in his Escalade and crashing into a fire hydrant and then a tree. He lied unconscious on the street for 6 minutes before coming to, but by that time, it was already too late. News coverage began speculating that there must have been some case of infidelity with Tiger and his wife. And while rumors had speculated that Tiger had a mistress on the side, it turned out that this guy had a lady in every course, so to speak. He admitted on air to the misdoings and lost his endorsements with Nike, Gatorade, Gillette, and Accenture, before announcing his retirement entirely from golf. Woods reportedly confessed to sleeping with 120 women outside of his marriage, but it wasn't until April 2010 when Ellen decided to split up with Woods for good after she discovered that one of those mistresses was the next door neighbor's daughter who was in college at the time. Go Capanu! Number 3. John Lennon's investigation. Lead guitarist of the Beatles and an incredible musician in his own right, John Lennon was always very open on his political views. He was anti-war, anti-establishment, and anti-government, proven by his counterculture-esque songs like Give Peace a Chance. This marked Lennon as a national threat, and his theory on what that meant was a little fishy. Many times in interviews, he would claim that he was under surveillance 24/7 and that he was seeing the same cars driving near his residence essentially every day. Now, while at first this was taken as the ramblings of a hippie under the influence of mind-altering narcotics, this theory was proven to be true in 1972 when the Immigration and Naturalization Service tried to deport him after the FBI had confirmed that Lennon was under investigation for over a year. He was able to fight back and stay in the country to continue his anti-war agenda. See, hippies aren't always crazy. Okay? Number 2. Arnold has a secret kid. Action movie star and former California Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger made headlines in 2011 with the revelation that an old rumor was in fact true. In 1996, Arnold was married to Maria Shriver, a member of the Kennedy family, and they were prepping to welcome their new son Christopher into the world. Arnie didn't prep by building cribs or baby-proofing the outlets though. Instead, he chose to have an affair with his longtime housekeeper Mildred Baina. Around the same time Christopher was born, so was his illegitimate son, Joseph. Rumors began to rise after his wife noticed the strange and sudden absence of the housekeeper, and wondered if there may have been a more sinister reason for her departure. It was later revealed in 2011, though, that Arnold decided to address the rumors and claim Joseph as his own. It turns out that Arnold had given Mildred a large severance package so that she could properly raise their son, leaving on what they called good terms. Eventually, though, after many years of trying and lots of paperwork, Maria and Arnold were finally divorced, and he is now able to spend more time as a father. Mildred is a chef, and little Joseph is now all grown up and following in his father's footsteps as both a model and in the movie industry. And number 1, Donald Trump's criminal activities. In 2006, Donald Trump was known solely as a wealthy real estate mogul with a hit reality show called The Apprentice. He had recently been married to Melania Trump, and he had a newly born 4-month-old baby. However, reports leaked that Trump was in the midst of an affair with adult film star Stormy Daniels after she filed a civil suit claiming that the contract he made her sign to keep quiet was invalid. Daniels claimed that herself and Trump had shared a very intimate relationship for roughly a year during his marriage to Melania. These weren't the first allegations of an affair, as Trump has been back and forth in the media since the 1970s, being accused by 26 women of harassment or misconduct. While these rumors never held any merit at first, the truth was finally set free. After being the most chaotic president in recent history, it was announced in March that Trump was being arrested on 34 separate violations of a New York law against falsifying business documents to conceal another crime. Basically, over the years, he was essentially taking company money and using it to pay off anyone who might have been a threat to him, both personally and politically. Well, hey, thanks for the free money, Donnie. We'll see you never. Number 10. Amber Heard. According to the internet, Amber Heard is not only an actress, but she's also a humanitarian and a social activist. Okay, sure. She got her big film break starring in the horror movie All the Boys Love Mandy Lane, but I was genuinely shocked when I saw what movies she's also been in. Did you guys know that she was 406 in the movie Zombieland? And she was Seth Rogen's love interest in Pineapple Express. Oh, and she's the reason that Aquaman 2 is gonna be delayed. Since 2016, Amber Heard and her ex-husband Johnny Depp have been throwing accusations at each other left and right. They were accusing each other of domestic altercations that may or may not have taken place during their brief one-year marriage. Those accusations were confirmed during their very public trial, in which Depp was suing Amber for defamation over a 2018 op-ed for the Washington Post. While the trial brought to light some disturbing truths on both sides, the biggest shock came when, after several days of interviews, witness statements, and mountains of paperwork, a jury found that Amber's statements were in fact false and granted Depp the defamation. Amber had filed a countersuit, which she also kind of technically won, but it was way less than what Johnny got. Sound files, video footage, and witnesses gave concrete evidence that Amber was the instigator in many of their disputes, and that she was subsequently fired from any and all future projects. Number 9. Ellen DeGeneres. In her first on-air appearance since announcing the end of her eponymous daytime talk show, Ellen DeGeneres called the press cycle around allegations of toxicity at her workplace orchestrated and misogynistic. The announcement that her show would be cancelled came after months of receiving negative press following a BuzzFeed article reporting former employees alleging the environment was racially insensitive, filled with harassment, and, hey, bullying too. Ellen maintained in interviews that these allegations were not the reason that she would be leaving the show, simply claiming that the program was no longer challenging for her. While the BuzzFeed report did not allege toxic behavior by Ellen herself, several former staff members claimed the whole "Be Kind" motto was not genuine at all, which was reflected in a Twitter thread published by comedian Kevin T. Porter. He asked people to send in their horror stories about the host's rudeness over the years and received over 2,000 replies. Warner Brothers opened an investigation and included that there were some flaws in the day-to-day management of the studio. Following this, Ellen appeared on the 18th season premiere of her show in 2020 and made an on-air apology to viewers, claiming responsibility, later stating that there was no way that she could know the true nature of the work environment due to the 255 employees that worked for her across multiple buildings. Ever heard of a complaint box? Number 8. Katy Perry collects hair. The singer was once asked during an interview a very simple and cute question of, hey, what's in your purse? And fans perhaps hoped that she would respond with like a bottle of Killer Queen, which was her, cologne, or cupcake crumbs, but Katy Perry answered with, oh, it's just a big empty bag, and then went on to describe what used to be in it. You see, she claimed that while in attendance at her first Grammy Awards ceremony that she got to share a dressing room with Miley Cyrus, Cyrus and Taylor Swift. Now, with all that excitement, you'd think she'd ask for a picture, right? Yeah, no, she asked them for a lock of each of their hair, which Katy found, quote, like totally awesome, but hey, that's weird because ugh. She then elaborated that she would tie little bows to each of them and like put them in her purse. This sounds so made up, like how could that be true? No, Miley and Taylor actually backed that story up online, and Perry claims to this day that Miley Cyrus is the most famous person in her purse and in her contact books. Nice. Number 7. Josie Smollett. In 2019, American actor Josie Smollett, best known for his role in the Mighty Ducks movies and his time as Jamal Leon on the show Empire, approached the Chicago Police Department to report a hate crime. According to himself, 2 unknown individuals appeared from the shadows and began harassing Josie. They flung racial and homophobic slurs at Smollett, while one attacker poured a flammable substance on him, and the other began to insert his head into some rope. News of this altercation made headlines in the following days, as it was announced that an investigation would be made to help piece together what exactly happened. Well, too bad for Josie, the Chicago PD are pretty good at their jobs. They quickly found that the 2 strangers in question were 2 Nigerian brothers named Abimbola and Olambinjo, who had worked as extras on the set of Empire. They raided the brothers' home and found documents confirming the pair had been paid $3,500 each to stage the event. They had video footage of the brothers purchasing the masks, gloves, and hats that are seen in the altercation footage. They also found receipts for the liquid and rope used during the attack. Hey, not a great time to keep track of your finances, guys. In 2019, Smollett was charged with a Class 4 felony for filing a false police report, and on top of that, the Chicago PD was suing him for $130,000 for wasting their time and resources on a fake incident. In the end, he spent 150 days in jail and coughed up a lot of the cash. Number 6. Kylie Cosmetics. Kylie Jenner is the youngest of the Kardashian clan and is extremely successful for her age. In 2019, she made the cover of Forbes magazine as the youngest self-made billionaire ever, following the successful partnership between her cosmetic brand and Ulta, a beauty salon company, which would allow the brand previously only available online and in random pop-up stores to be placed on shelves and in Ulta's 1,000 plus stores. This is unfortunate considering the true nature of just where these products come from. You see, rumors of Kylie's mistreatment for her employees were circulating for weeks after several claims from former employees were made public. It turns out every single thing that they said was true. Many people at the factory that mixed and packaged her makeup and beauty products would report that they were never actually given proper safety equipment that you would require to do that job. They were only given hairnets, lab coats, and safety goggles, leaving their hands and faces completely exposed. Workers would regularly report migraines and chemical burns varying in severity. Now, if this isn't bad enough, they were also forced to act as human test subjects for Kylie's new products. This woman was on the cover of Forbes magazine. She was so proud of her company for not testing products on animals, but like, can we agree that using people is like a billion times worse? Number 5. King Charles's affair. The recently crowned King of England has not always played by the rules. In 1981, Prince Charles married Lady Diana, who was 20 years old at the time, leaving a 13-year age gap between them. Behind closed doors, it was speculated that Charles was never actually in love with Diana in the first place, and that was later proven to be true. While things seemed pleasant on the outside, behind the scenes, Charles was secretly meeting up and having an affair with his ex-girlfriend Camilla Bowles. The alleged relationship was written about in the 1992 Diana, Her True Story, but in 1994, Charles actually confirmed the allegations in a documentary, because that's the perfect place to do it. The couple filed for a divorce in 1996, and Diana died 1 year later. While the now king made it clear that he had no plans to remarry, he ended up getting remarried in 2005 to, oh hey look, it's Camilla Bowles, shocking. Number 4. Arnold's love child. Action movie star and former California Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger made headlines in 2011 with the revelation that an old rumor was in fact true. In 1996, Arnold was married to Maria Shriver, a member of the Kennedy family, and they were prepping to welcome their new son Christopher into the world. Arnie didn't prep by building them cribs or baby-proofing the outlets though. Instead, he decided to have an affair with his longtime housekeeper Mildred Baina. Around the same time Christopher was born, so was his illegitimate son, Joseph. Rumors began to rise after his wife noticed the strange and sudden absence of the housekeeper and wondered if there might have been a more sinister reason for her departure. It was later revealed in 2011 that Arnold decided to address those rumors and claim Joseph as his own. Turns out Arnold had given Mildred a large severance package back in the day so she could properly raise their son, leaving on what they call good terms. Well, eventually, after many years of trying and lots of paperwork, Maria and Arnold were divorced, and he's now able to spend more time as a papa. Number 3. Donald Trump's criminal activities. In 2006, Donald Trump was known solely as a wealthy real estate mogul with a hit reality TV show, The Apprentice. He had recently been married to one Melania Trump, and they had a newly born 4-month-old baby. However, reports leaked that Trump was in the midst of an affair with adult film star Stormy Daniels after she filed a civil suit claiming the contract he made her sign to keep quiet was invalid. Daniels claimed that herself and Trump had shared an intimate relationship for roughly a year during his marriage to Melania. These weren't the first allegations of an affair, as Trump has been back and forth in the media since the 1970s, being accused by like 26 women of misconduct. While these rumors never held any merit at first, the truth was finally set free. After being the most chaotic president in recent history, it was announced in March that Trump was going to be arrested on 34 separate violations of a New York law against falsifying business documents to conceal another crime. Over the years, he was essentially taking company money and using it to pay off anyone who may have been a threat to him, both personally or politically. Thanks for the free money, Donnie. Number 2. Paula Dean. Paula Dean is basically Martha Stewart just from the South. Paula opened her first restaurant in a Best Western lodge in Savannah and called it The Lady in 1991. She went on to own and operate several of her own restaurants, as well as hosting a very popular cooking show called Paula's Home Cookin'. Paula shared her recipes for delicious home-cooked meals and took the cooking world by storm, until 2013 when it was revealed that maybe Paula shouldn't be allowed to have a phone. Rumors had been circulating of a more sinister persona buried beneath the warm, sweet Southern lady we saw on TV, and it turned out those rumors were confirmed by Paula herself. Paula admitted to using racial slurs on her social media posts in the past. She would post these rants and aggressive comments, and then she would just immediately delete them to avoid being blasted in the media. Well, hey, the internet's forever, Paula, and Paula's cooking show got cancelled. It's all good though. She started another show on the very successful streaming device Roku. You know, so popular, just so popular. Number 1, Michael Richards. Michael Richards played one of the most famous sitcom characters of all time on one of the most famous sitcoms of all time. He played Cosmo Kramer on the show Seinfeld for 9 years, and in that time made fans laugh and cry with his hilarious antics and wild lifestyle. Unfortunately, those laughs and cries turned to boos and anger. In 2006, Michael made an appearance at the Laugh Factory in California, where he went on a racially fueled tirade after responding to a heckler in the audience. Rumors of his bias had been circulating for a few years, as Richard wasn't a stranger to using choice words and phrases in his stand-up acts that were considered offensive and racist. Since the reveal of his true behavior, Richards has received an enormous amount of backlash and has given up comedy for good. He was also brought on as a guest on Jerry Seinfeld's popular show Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee and addressed the situation with Seinfeld. Richards seemed very apologetic, and he understood that what he said and did was wrong. But hey man, the words that he spoke that night still circulate the internet to this day, so sorry Michael.
Number 10, the NDAs. Confidentiality agreements are not uncommon in the world of Hollywood. Marvel will literally have someone take you out even if a single line leaks to the public. In Kitty Kelly's tell-all book about Oprah, the author mentions the confidentiality agreements that co-workers and guest stars are made to sign. This included everyone from Tom Cruise to the person who made his muffins. Over 500 staff members were forced to sign this document, and one former employee, Elizabeth Cody, tried to write a book about her time working for Oprah, but she was apparently stopped by the courts, still being tied to the agreement that she had signed. The NDAs were not meant to be a way to just keep show secrets safe, but any and all of Oprah's secrets as well. According to Elizabeth, the documents were signed by almost everyone in her life. She may have this brand of sweetness and kindness, but that is not how she is. Elizabeth felt that she was in Oprah's pocket after she signed the paperwork. In 2010, a lawsuit was filed against Oprah, and her company, Unicus Performance Training, claimed that they were fired for violating the terms of her agreement, specifically involving advertising with her name or the website or the show. Number 9, a diva. On air, Oprah is portrayed as a wholesome, sweet lady, but according to her stepmom, there is an unknown side to this woman. Hidden from fans for years, according to Barbara, Oprah is one of the most controlling people you'll ever meet. She claims that Oprah would not allow them to stay at her house when they tried to visit, forcing them to stay in hotels with money out of their own pockets. Barbara also said that Oprah was quick to anger when it came to her staff, with several people being fired left and right over the years, but that's not all. Despite being a billionaire, Barbara allows her to stay at her home for visits, something that Oprah apparently hates. The first time she stayed over, Oprah allegedly complained that her bed sheets were not 1,000 threads and her bath towel wasn't big enough. I get the bath towel thing, big bath towels for the win, never going back. This woman has billions of dollars to do literally anything she wants, and what she wants to do apparently is just make her stepmom's life a living hell. Number 8, controversial beliefs. Oprah has had plenty of controversial people on her show, from medical experts, fake psychologists, to celebrities. Whatever's good for TV is good for Oprah, but one particular incident that caused caused a ton of backlash for Oprah was when she did an interview with Suzanne Summers. She was brought onto the show to share her beauty secrets and how she was able to look so young. Well, according to some, this treatment that she does on a regular basis will help. Suzanne claimed that she rubs estrogen cream into her skin on one arm and smears progesterone onto the other arm. Progesterone is just a fancy way of saying steroids. She also claimed that she took 60 supplements and vitamins a day, 40 in the morning and 20 before bed. What really stirred the pot was that this woman claimed to be a health expert and a self-help author, but surprise, surprise, doctor, she is not. Medical experts started bashing Oprah, claiming that this type of extreme hormone therapy would actually be the cause of several diseases and illnesses, like cancer. Despite Suzanne's claims that her specially made non-FDA approved bioidenticals are natural and safe, they're actually just synthetic, conventional hormones that you can buy at a pharmacy. Oprah did everything in her power to sell this idea to her audience, believing 100% that the methods were useful, even claiming to have used some of these methods that made her feel incredible. So this lady would rather risk her audience getting cancer than just telling them the truth. That is solid. Number 7, an advocate for Maui. Oprah was claiming to be many things during the whole Maui backlash thing. A good boss, a charitable woman, and an advocate for the island of Maui. By starting her Maui fund and donating her spare millions, she made her mark in the public as a woman who she cares so much that she's asking you to give her money as well. Isn't that nice? As I've mentioned in previous videos, Oprah would not care about Maui or its people if she didn't have a vested stake on the island. Oprah's had property in Maui for quite some time, being almost a second home to her, and when the fire started raging, she started funding. But think about all the other things that have happened in the past couple of years around the world. We all forgot about Australia on fire in 2020. Western Canada was on fire at the beginning of this year. Some parts of Florida have been underwater for months, yet Oprah has decided to dedicate her time and money to helping an area where she has a vacation home. Number 6, the free cars. Now, who could forget Oprah's famous words, "You get a car, everybody gets a car." The moment was historical on her series and was parodied time and time again, and it still does get parodied to this day. However, what a lot of people don't know is that it wasn't as simple as, here are some keys, have fun. When someone gives out anything on television, there's a catch. For Oprah's audience, the catch was, if they wanted to drive away in a brand new car, they'd have to pay $7,000 in taxes first. While Oprah's studio would cover the sales tax and registration for each car, which was a lot, the audience members were given a choice to either pay the $7,000 and take their car home, or just simply take the cash instead. The infamous moment on the show featured 11 teachers who were, according to Oprah, in desperate need of a car. They, along with the audience, received keys in a box on camera that Oprah claimed to be for their new cars. Everything has a catch even now. For someone who is known to be charitable and generous, the word free really means something different to Oprah. Number 5, there were fabricated memoirs. Oprah launched her book club in 1996, a reading encouraging segment from her talk show. It turned any book that she liked into a bestseller. In September of 2005, she picked A Million Little Pieces, a brutal and painful memoir by James Frett about his years-long struggle with substance control issues. A Million Little Pieces became a best-selling non-fiction book of that year, and Frey was asked to appear on her talk show to discuss the book. Oprah called it gut-wrenching. However, the following year, a news outlet ran a pretty expositive article about Frey after it was discovered that he made up or juiced large portions of his memoir. For example, there's a section of the book that tells a story of Frey surviving a fatal crash that took the lives of 2 teenagers when he was never on that train nor had any involvement in the situation. Weeks after the article broke, Oprah asked Frey to come back onto the show, where he faced livid viewers and an even more livid Oprah. She told James that she felt duped and betrayed, a feeling that was shared by her audience and millions of people around the world. She asked why James felt the need to lie to herself and the readers, and he tried everything, making every excuse that he could think of. He claimed that he altered a lot of the details, but that the overall plot was real. The studio audience responded with waves of boos and gasps and groans. Winfrey later apologized for the mistreatment from her audience because it wasn't her intention, but the damage had already been done. His career as a writer is currently non-existent. Let's talk about some of the celebrities that she has had interactions with. Number 4, Cindy Crawford. Model and actress Cindy Crawford has called Oprah out over their 1986 interview that took place on her show, where Oprah asked the then 20-year-old to expose herself to the crowd. Crawford reflected on the interview in a new documentary called The Supermodels on Apple TV+. Everyone has a plus now. The documentary spotlights the careers of several models like Naomi Campbell, Linda Evangelista, and of course Cindy Crawford. In a clip from the documentary, Winfrey is heard introducing the then aspiring aspiring supermodel to the Oprah Winfrey show before she is asked, "Did she always have this body? I mean, this is unbelievable. Come on, stand up. Now that's what I call a body." Thank you, that is my impression of Oprah. She is visibly uncomfortable and sheepishly stands up before the studio audience cheered as she showed off her figure. According to Cindy, she felt like a child in that moment being told what to do by her superior. She felt that the moment was more of a show us why you're worthy of being here type situation than anything else. At the time, this was just some weird thing that Oprah asked her to do, but it morphed and mutated into one of the most uncomfortable moments in her early years in modeling. The most shocking thing for her was the fact that it was Oprah Winfrey trying to tell her what to do. The woman who was known for her kindness and generosity made her feel like a puppet. Number 3, where's the beef? In spring of 1996, the United Kingdom apparently experienced an outbreak of bovine spongiform encephalopathy, or mad cow disease, since I probably butchered that last part. According to the FDA, the disease destroys cows' central nervous system, and if humans eat it, then we get zombies! No, but they can contract a deadly variant called Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease. During the mad cow scare, the Oprah Winfrey Show booked Howard Lyman. The former cattle rancher had adopted a vegetarian lifestyle, and he went to work for the Humane Society's Eating with Conscience animal welfare campaign, and he appeared on the show to discuss the threat of mad cow to Americans. He pointed out that feeding the remains of mad cow to infected cattle or any other animals could have facilitated a spread, and such practices were apparently common in the United States. Oprah was stunned and vowed that she would never eat a burger again. And it turns out her influence and her millions of viewers were so large that only a few hours after that statement and the episode aired, she declared to never eat a hamburger ever again, and the price of beef stock plummeted, staying at an all-time low for 2 months. One Texas rancher actually lost an estimated $6.7 million that year and organized a class action lawsuit against Oprah and her show for talking trash about American beef. After about 6 weeks of a trial, she won, leaving one man with no farm and out thousands of extra dollars in legal fees. Number 2, Tom Cruise. Despite this man being in the Mission Impossible franchise, he's been in a lot of movies produced by himself. You didn't think Hollywood forgot about Oprah, did you? Following the announcement that he was engaged to Katie Holmes in the early 2000s, Tom appeared on an episode of the Oprah Winfrey Show, and it has gone down as one of the most iconic TV moments of all time. From the moment he steps on stage, things are just going wrong. He throws arms in the air, he rubs Oprah's shoulder like she's got a stain that just won't come out. Tom jumped on her couch, grabbed her hands over and over. She couldn't even get any questions out. Eventually, Oprah was like, "Okay, I'm done, bring Katie out." And then Tom is just running through the hallways as cameras follow him Blair Witch style. The moment cemented Tom as a man with many hidden personalities, and while it has not affected his work as an actor per se, ever since that day, whenever he's brought in for press of any kind or interviews, all entrances and exits must be locked at all times for everyone's safety. Again, this man may be in movies still, but they're rarely anything new or good. Number 1, Whoopi Goldberg. In author Kitty Kelly's unauthorized Oprah biography, Kelly claims that Whoopi Goldberg became a persona non grata, or an unwelcome person, to Oprah after Whoopi was nominated for an Oscar for her role in the original version of The Color Purple. The book noted that following the honor, the comedian never appeared on Oprah's show again and was noticeably shunned from her 2006 Legends Ball. It wasn't until Oprah invited the entire cast of The Color Purple onto the show that the so-called feud was addressed. It turns out Oprah actually ran into Whoopi at Tyler Perry's party sometime around 2006, just after the snub. Goldberg confronted Oprah, leading to a hilariously adorable moment between them. She asked if she was mad at her, to which Oprah said, "I thought you were mad at me. Well, that's crazy." They mutually agreed that they really should have just picked up the phone a long time ago and settled the dispute. Number 10, Tom Cruise's cookie dough. Tom Cruise is known to have a bit of a bad temper. According to Leah Remini, Tom once lashed out at his assistants after he couldn't find a tube of cookie dough when Leah and her husband Angelo were over for a visit. She claims that Tom asked his assistants to prep the cookie dough, and when he walked into the kitchen a few minutes later to find no cookie dough waiting for him, he flipped. Tom went off at his flustered assistant, grabbing a science book, holding it above his head, and telling the assistant, "L. Ron Hubbard is here, Dave and I are here, and you are down here." According to Leah, the assistant had the fear of God put inside of them because they knew what was about to happen. Remini diffused the situation by casually pointing out that the cookie dough was behind Tom on the counter the entire time. Tom is known for his temper. A former assistant revealed that when Tom turned 19, he threw a book at her head because the book was a bunch of Teen Beat style articles written about him when he considered himself an adult. The search associated with Tom has claimed that this never happened and is just a story for Leah's book, but the assistants and Leah's husband were eyewitnesses, so nice try, science guy. Number 9. 9. Bad parents. A large chunk of Leah Remini's book is dedicated to exposing Tom Cruise and his role in the scientific community. Apart from cookie dough, freakouts, and secret meetings, she mentions how terrible of a parent he really was. Tom and his ex Katy had their marriage after their daughter Suri was born, and in her book she speaks of their wedding day, where she discovered baby Suri on a tile floor surrounded by 3 women, including Tom's sister and his assistant. She was crying very loudly, and Leah claims that the women were speaking to her as if they were trying to calm down an angry and annoyed adult. Neither Katy nor Tom were anywhere to be seen when this happened, leaving a lot of people to question if Tom is even a good dad. We know he isn't these days, at least according to online sources and his family, but seems like Tom hasn't seen Suri in years. Number 8. Sharon Osbourne. Sharon and Leah had a very bad public feud a few years back, but according to Leah, things are okay now. The two were co-hosts on the show The Talk, but Leah was let go following the very first season in 2011. At the time, Leah blamed Sharon Osbourne for the firing as they had apparently had an altercation off camera. Leah called Sharon out for supposedly using racist language when speaking in reference to a crew member, but Sharon claims that never happened. Leah said that at the time she believed Sharon was her friend, and because of that, Tidal expected a lot from the co-host. The story was backed up by several co-hosts and more details were released. She had apparently been using some very poor words when speaking about her co-hosts Julie Chen and Sarah Gilbert. I will not repeat what she said because it is so rude and vile and just no. Leah also revealed that at times Sharon would even use slurs aimed at her that were usually associated with Italian people. When Remini would not support Sharon, she used the power behind the scenes to take Remini out for good. Number 7. John Travolta. Tom Cruise is not the only famous celebrity involved in weird science. Danny Zuko himself is a man who loves to read. In fact, he will tell you to do the same thing if you ask him why he's involved with the Church of Science. That's it, no explanation or what is in the book he's recommending, just go find one and read one. Read a book! I picked Harry Potter. John is well known to have confirmed his involvement with the crew, but there is specifically one really unsettling thing about him, and is that he seems like an okay guy, but as I said, every time someone asks him about what it means, he tells people to educate themselves and read a book. I found so many examples of celebrities all giving the exact same answer when they're asked this question, and it's horrifying. There is no straight answer, it's very weird, they tell you to go to a library, that's pretty sus. Number 6, Jada Pinkett Smith. For those who don't know, Jada lives in a world of science, but I can't even talk about what that means. Oh wait, you'll know what it means. Leah Remini, who you might know from King of Queens or Old School or just all the movies that she's in, is very outspoken, especially against Jada. The rumors that Will and Jada were big into science was something that Leah mentions in her book, Troublemaker, Surviving Hollywood and Weird Science, and she brought it up again when speaking to the Daily Beast in 2017. She claims to know for certain that Jada was involved for a long time. She had seen Will once in a blue moon, however, she did spot Jada attending several events at the Celebrity Center in Hollywood. When Leah claimed to have knowledge of this, Jada clapped back on Twitter, naming all of the houses of worship that she's visited without being an actual member of them. A year later, they appeared on Red Table Talk together to hash things out, and after the interview, Jada gushed about how they connected in the interview and said that they were 2 broken little babies inside of them that just were abandoned by their parents. And Leah was like, man, that lady needs help. Number 5, Giovanni Ribisi. Giovanni Ribisi, best known for his more comedic roles in movies like Ted, is another celebrity that is openly linked to the world of science, being another celebrity that encourages people to read a book and educate themselves instead of him having to explain the unexplainable. Gio actually used to practice Scientology alongside his co-star from My Name is Earl, Jason Lee, aka Earl Hickey, who you will know from plenty of great movies. Himself and Leah had butted heads for years, but back in 2016, the release of her book prompted an even greater hatred. These two have been at each other's throats ever since. Metaphorically speaking, it would be pretty weird if every time you went outside there was just Leah Remini and Giovanni Ribisi brawling on the streets. You can sell tickets to that. Gio is not the most famous person in this book to be exposed, but he is mentioned, so he counts. Number 4, Maggie Gyllenhaal. Maggie and Leah used to be very close when Leah was a former member of the Weird Science, but she has had a massive falling out with the group ever since. The controversy led to several altercations and rifts in friendships. Following her exit from the church, Maggie and Leah continued to argue and battle with each other as to what the superior decision was. The better place to be for Leah was behind a desk typing her feelings into a book. I've never read this book, so if you have, Good for you. I barely had enough mental capacity to read the articles about this lady, let alone her actual words and thoughts. Maggie is just another celebrity that wishes Leah would stop telling so-called lies and misleading the public into thinking that the group are a bunch of famous nuts who play hide and seek together from time to time. Guys, Leah didn't make you look like that. You made you look like that. Number 3, Elizabeth Moss. Star of the popular series Handmaid's Tale is another celebrity involved in the church, and this video is quite literally just a list of people involved in weird science that Leah Remini either has a beef with or has some kind of feud. Elizabeth and Leah have actually only crossed paths a handful of times, but each seems to be worse than the last. Leah is blasted by any and all celebrities linked to weird science, with Elizabeth just being one of the more shy of the bunch. Herself and Leah have been fairly reserved in their feud, with the only knowledge of its existence coming from Leah herself. A few years back, Elizabeth shared some of her views on the science side of things, and her words caused Leah to label the crew as a cult, and that their sole goal was to grow their numbers. Leah tore Elizabeth and her statements apart, causing a back and forth that lasts to this day. The argument is literally just the two going back and forth, claiming that the other is the reason for their annoyance. We've all been there. Number 2, Kirstie Alley. If there has ever been a difficult clip to watch on this list, this is the one. Leah Remini writes a lot about the celebrities she knows to be involved with the group, including Kirstie Alley. Kirstie is best known for her role on Cheers and in movies like It Takes Two. But if you are a fan of cringy clips, you might know her best from her season on Celebrity Big Brother. During her time on that show, she was asked about her beliefs a few times, but the best clip comes from her interaction with fellow castmate from that season, Rodrigo Alves. She tells her that the best way to educate herself is to read a book. Hey, I already said that before. But unlike TV hosts and interviewers in the past, she pushed further, telling Kirstie that she is right there, ready to go, so you could just explain what would be in the book, right? To which Kirstie said no. Rodrigo had her own set of issues on that season, but this moment really stuck into the minds of those who witnessed it. Like, why not? Why do I have to go read a whole book that you have already read? That'd be like going to a doctor's office and them being like, oh, I know what's wrong with you, but you have to read my medical school journals to figure it out. And at number 1, Dancing with the Stars. A few years back, Leah was asked to be a guest dancer on Dancing with the Stars, and as the season progressed, more and more backlash came up, mainly from the science community voicing their annoyance that she was fine to be on a show and dance her heart out, but other active and vocal members like Tom Cruise and John Travolta or anyone else who was on this list are questioned at every turn. Leah responded to the hate by informing people that the show that she was on had nothing to do with her views and was simply something fun that she wanted to participate in, and she was asked to do it. So this might have been part of the reason that she left the group for good, and every time she tried to exist outside of it, she was just questioned and brought right back in.
The Smith family has been in major gossip sources almost every month for the past 3 years. It seems as though they may never catch a break, but more importantly, it seems like we, the gossip people, will never run out of content and anecdotes. Jumping right in, we have their separation. Jada recently revealed that the pair, who everyone assumed was still unhappily married, have actually been separated for years, and everything that has happened between the two since 2016 has all occurred when they were not in an official relationship, and wow, a lot has happened. The separation was revealed alongside a myriad of other strange confessions and was followed by some even crazier revelations, which we will get into. The two say that they have always loved each other very deeply and that they always will, even going so far as to say that they are not planning to divorce, but they wanted to officially separate and provide each other space, which brings us to our next point. Up next is the revelation that Jada and Will were in an open marriage. I mean, this comes as no surprise to anyone, right? Like, come on. Now, a couple years back, this was all anyone was talking about. How Will Smith and Jada were in an open relationship, but only Jada was partaking openly, and by that I mean in the public eye. The man that Jada had begun a relationship with actually moved into the house with the happy husband and wife. This arrangement definitely created an even more tense environment for the group of them, and I can't imagine having to live with that. I mean, my parents split up earlier this year, and living with them even for 1 month while things got packed up was a pretty awkward and tense experience. Thinking of one of them inviting their partner to come live with us? Yeah, I'd press pause on that one. Some secrets should not come out, like Jada's hesitation to marry and the emotional reaction that she had on her wedding day. Jada and Will got married when they were very young, and it was actually Jada's mother who pressured her into the marriage because she really liked Will and saw a lot of potential in him. However, that decision aged poorly, obviously. For Will's birthday, she posted a fairly old photo of them with their 2 kids and one of Jada's sons from her previous relationship. Many fans sent birthday wishes, but there were a few, a good amount, who made snarky remarks and rehashed lines from Red Table Talks, contradicting the photo in the post. Some people commented on how she didn't love him romantically, and a clip came up of her saying how she cried all the way down the aisle because she did not want to be married to him, and how she felt pressured to be wed even though she never wanted to get married. Next up, we have the bonus son. Well, many know of the existence of Jaden and Willow Smith, not a lot know about the existence of the third son. Trey Smith was the product of Will's previous marriage to Cherie Zampino and tends to fly under the radar in the eye of the media. In 2018, Jada brought Zampino on her show and spilled the tea on the real story behind Trey, their relationship to each other, and Will's role as his biological father. For many Smith fans, this is the first time anyone had even heard about Trey. Will claims that he had to distance himself from Trey and his mother following the divorce. Will recounts struggling to maintain a healthy enough relationship with Zampino for him to play the role of Trey's father figure. Trey was raised by his mom alone, growing up feeling betrayed and abandoned by Will. Eventually, Will made amends and became a proper part of Trey's life, but for a long time, Trey was kept hidden from the public, surely leaving a stain on the family unit that can never be washed away. Next up, Complex Grandpa. This one is really dark. Like, okay, kind of in a funny way, because it's not actually dark, I guess. Like, the dark thing didn't happen, but no, yeah, it's pretty dark. Will Smith released a memoir called Will in 2021 that was chock full of info that you would have to waterboard out of me or pay me a huge sum of money. Okay, yeah, I get it. Well, proceed. The actor explains that while he was growing up, his father physically harmed himself and his mom on continuous and frequent occasions. So, in return for this treatment, he vowed to seek revenge for his mother when he was older and capable of more. Eventually, his father was diagnosed with cancer, and Will was forced to care for him while he was bedridden. Will saw this as the perfect opportunity to take his dad down. He wrote, "One night, as I delicately wheeled him from his bedroom toward the bathroom, a darkness arose within me." He then went on to describe the moment he contemplated pushing him down the stairs. He noted that no one would have suspected him, and the moment was just perfect. He wrote, "I'm one of the best actors in the world. My 911 call would be Academy Award level." Will ultimately decided not to end his father's life, instead taking care of him until his passing in 2016. Of natural causes, I think. Next is dating pre-Slapgate. Ahead of the release of her new book, Worthy, Jada Pinkett Smith has revealed a ton of information once thought to just be rumors. Well, we've already covered the fact that she has been separated from Will Smith for a while now. Another fun piece of information has also been revealed. I don't know if it's fun, but it's information. Anyway, it's been revealed that before Chris Rock was slapped across the face by Will Smith live at the Oscars, Chris had actually asked Jada Pinkett Smith out on a date. Now, when you hear that, you must think, oh, he asked her out before they even met. Nope. This situation actually took place in 2016 at the height of the first round of separation rumors, which it turned out are completely true. At the time, Chris either had some inside info or he believes everything he reads online. According to Jada, Chris reached out and shot his shot, I guess. He called and he said he would love to take her out, which she was like, why? He clarified and told Jada he was under the impression that herself and Will were getting a divorce for real. When she revealed that this wasn't the case, Chris was so embarrassed and began to apologize over and over. Though they eventually moved past the moment, it may explain why Will Smith was so aggressive with Rock at the Oscars. There's no way he was unaware of the situation. Next up, we have the Smiths' self-raised tots. Rumors have been flying around for years that Willow and Jada Smith basically raised themselves. Their upbringing was nothing to scoff at. Jaden was on track to becoming an actor after starring in the 2008 remake of the classic Karate Kid series alongside martial arts and opera legend Jackie Chan, but later shifted his focus to a more entrepreneurial side of things, developing his own fashion brand, which has garnered him massive success. His sister Willow opted to stick with her creative roots, however, has made quite the name for herself in music. Unfortunately, their behavior comes from a place of neglect. During an episode of Red Table Talk, Jaden confronted his parents, calling out their terrible parenting skills. With both being so busy in their careers, they were never home to care for the youngsters. Jaden and Willow recount spending a majority of their childhood with various nannies and teachers, only seeing their parents between projects or if they were working with their parents, like Jaden and Will in The Pursuit of Happiness. It turns out they were all well aware of the whole separation thing from the very beginning as well. Will and Jada must have been waiting until the kids were financially independent and out of the house to finally call it quits, something they should have done a lot sooner. In that same vein, we have the horrid story of Willow Smith's stalker. In 2021, on her mother's talk show Red Table Talk, Willow Smith revealed the heartbreaking, terrifying tale of her being cyber-stalked. Cyber-stalking is a little bit more insidious and scary. This guy was doing that to me, and he was actually doing that to me for a couple of years. He basically got my patterns, Willow Smith had stated. In December 2020, while on a vacation and absent from her house, the stalker broke into her home. Her mother, Jada Pinkett Smith, located a camp that was set up behind the house, created by the stalker. His intention was to wait for Willow to return home. Jada immediately called the police, and the authorities recommended throwing out the contents of the fridge and cabinets in case the stalker had placed something harmful in the food. Willow Smith decided to take the stalker to court, filing for a restraining order against him. It was discovered that the man had been stalking her online for years. The restraining order was granted, but Willow Smith still has severe trauma from the whole experience. Next up, we have the birthday brawl, literally. For Jada's 37th birthday, Will decided it would be a great idea to throw a massive surprise party. Now, it wasn't just their celebrity friends, some close family, and what have you. He hired party planners to set it up and spent 3 days planning and getting everything ready, which really isn't that much time. He even booked Mary J. Blige to perform for her. Talk about a birthday gift. But that was not all. He traced her family roots and invited her family members from her long line of lineage. Not only did he find her family, he went out of his way to reach out and invite them to the party. You'd think she'd appreciate this labor of love, but instead she threw it back in his face, claiming he only did it to display his ego, and she hated the fact that he went out of his way to throw a party. He admitted he was devastated when she said those hurtful things, and it even sent him on a downward spiral that negatively impacted his life. This should have been one of the biggest of many red flags. I mean, if somebody just brought my entire family just from nowhere, that would be pretty scary. I don't think I'd like that either. I'm kind of with Jada on this one. Finally, we have Tupac. Jada was in a long-term relationship with Tupac years before she met Will, and his untimely passing was the end of their relationship. It's normal and even healthy to miss someone who passed, especially when you were romantically involved with them for years. But in 2012, while she and Will were still married, she posted a picture of her and Tupac in a very intimate embrace, and she captioned the photo, "I miss him." It makes sense wanting to share your deep feelings with the world, especially when they're affecting you the most, but that was a questionable photo to choose to post, especially when you're married to someone else. Not to mention, Will and Jada's daughter Willow wrote a letter addressed to Tupac after he passed because Willow claimed she knew he was still alive. One of the lines in the letter read, "Can you please come back so mommy and me can be happy? I think my mommy really misses you." It seems sweet and rather innocent, but at a young age she was aware of how much he still had a hold on Jada, and she wanted him to come back into their lives, which at that point seemed like it could have been the end of Will and Jada's marriage. Nothing came of it, obviously, but it makes you question how much Willow actually knew about the situation.
Number 10, Cry Me a River. Cry Me a River by Justin Timberlake is a very catchy song. It's pretty mean and clearly about Britney, but still very catchy. When the song was first released, Britney was sideswiped, even though the music video was clearly aimed at Britney, even casting a lookalike to play an unfaithful girlfriend. In The Woman in Me, Britney's new book, she reflected on the plot of the 2002 video, describing it as a woman who looks like her cheats on him and wanders wanders around sad in the rain, which is a pretty solid summation. The media backlash from the video painted Britney as a harlot who had broken the heart of America's golden boy when she was actually comatose in Louisiana and he was happily running around Hollywood. Comatose in Louisiana sounds like the title of a book about a young man trapped in the swamps of Louisiana. I gotta write something down. Britney admitted that she was unfaithful to Justin in a way. She kissed choreographer Wade Robson while she was still dating Timberlake, but following the split in 2002, Justin went public claiming that he would not tell anyone who his songs were actually about, telling people they were self-explanatory. Well, karma came back to bite him when a book about his misdeeds was published and sold out in the first week. Number 9. Oh Baby Baby? It should come as no surprise to anyone that Britney Spears is one of the first people I will be talking about today, and will talk about a couple of times because she literally wrote about this man in her memoir, exposing every little secret that he once held dear. The world now knows that Britney almost had a baby with him, but that he encouraged her not to have it, something she went through with and regrets to this day. I've not personally read Britney's memoir yet, however it is on my wish list, so we'll see how much terrible stuff there really is inside its pages. One thing that was revealed that is public knowledge is just how much shame Britney felt when Justin released his song Cry Me a River, which I've already talked about. Too bad for Britney, it's pretty catchy. The song was claiming that Britney had cheated on him, but we all know now that it was actually the opposite and he actually cheated on her. The entire argument is only solved when you choose a side, so you be the judge. Number 8. Take Back the Night. It would appear that Justin's been too busy bringing stuff back for him to do some basic research. When Justin decided to call his next single Take Back the Night, he had no idea that the same name was already trademarked by a foundation for people affected by physical mistreatment that has been holding emotionally charged campus events since the 1970s. Thankfully, the internet exists and education took place. Justin was forced to release a public statement apologizing for his actions that he really wasn't even aware of. He said upon the release of his new song Take Back the Night, he was made aware of the organization of the same name called Take Back the Night Foundation. He took the opportunity to let everyone know that neither his song nor its lyrics had any association with the organization. As he learned more about the Take Back the Night Foundation, he was moved by their efforts to stop violence against women, create safe communities, and encourage respectful relationships for women, something that we all really should rally around. He hoped that the coincidence would bring more awareness to the cause. His words did not make things instantly better, considering he admitted to not knowing the cause even existed, further showcasing the need to spread the word. The foundation sent Justin a letter claiming that there would be legal action for using their name without permission, something that was eventually settled outside of court. Number 7. Time's Up. Sometimes people should really think before they do something, like when Justin and his wife Jessica Biel posted photos of themselves wearing #Time's Up pins on their way to the Golden Globes in 2018. Yes, at the time there was a ton of online presence for the Time's Up movement. Most of the celebrities in attendance at the awards that year were wearing nothing but black and supporting the ants. And the reason people were upset with how Justin did it was because he had just started a project with Woody Allen. For those who may have forgotten, the Time's Up movement was an initiative by women in Hollywood calling for a change in the treatment of women across all industries. Woody Allen is a controversial man because of the 1992 investigation into the concerns that he had physically mistreated his daughter, Dylan Farrow. Woody was never formally charged, but the accusations followed him everywhere he went. This led many people online to call Justin out for the hypocrisy of wearing a pin while working with Woody. Justin was blissfully unaware of the controversy, but he apologized for it anyway. Number 6. Vegas. When Justin sat down for an interview with Beats Radio 1, he talked about his new album, Man of the Woods, family life, and his career path. When he was asked about the possibility of taking up residency in Vegas though, he responded by saying it was something to consider if he ever wanted to retire. He continued saying that it would feel like planning a retirement. For some reason, that was a scary thing for him to think about. A lot of performers have purchased property in Las Vegas, not as a retirement spot, but just as like a home base whenever they're performing for extended periods of times. The comments were considered to be pretty rude, especially to anyone that is not a celebrity living in Las Vegas. And according to Justin, everyone in town is in their retirement stage and therefore are old. He's received a fair share of backlash for the comments, but has yet to actually purchase any property in the town or apologize for them. Number 5. The bet. Betting your friend to do something stupid is pretty fun, okay? It's pretty awesome, but betting your friend to do something to another person can be a little bit gross. Of course, in this case, the bet was made when Justin and his childhood friend Ryan Gosling were only 12 years old. The bet was to see who could kiss a certain lady first, and that lady was Jessica Simpson. As luck would have it, Jessica and Justin crossed paths a few times over the years and eventually sparked a romantic connection in 2006, following Simpson's split from Nick Lachey. During their brief romance, he recalls a time when she spotted Justin Justin texting someone moments after they had locked lips. To her, maybe she did a bad job or he was messaging another girl, something weird, but it turned out that he was just texting Ryan Gosling, Ken himself, to let him know that he had indeed lost a bet. She then admitted that she had a little bit of a crush on Ryan growing up and that Justin was lucky to have gotten there first. They of course broke up, but Jessica has very little to say in negative reference to Justin, so let's move on. Number 4, The Social Network. Having just seen the film The Social Network this past week for like the 10th time, I understand where the star of the film, Jesse Eisenberg, is coming from. In The Social Network, Justin plays Sean Parker, who's a real person who famously invented Napster and was then arrested and charged for a number of misdeeds only briefly covered in the movie. In the years that follow, Jesse Eisenberg has been fairly closed off about his time on set, and why wouldn't he be? Jesse Eisenberg, there are probably a million DC fans out there who are ready to just cave his face in at a moment's notice. However, when he is pressed about his time working on The Social Network, there is one constant, that Justin Timberlake did a great job. Now, when someone does an incredible job on set, that's usually a good thing, but not when the person they're playing is known to be a playboy with a penchant for the underage. While there is of course nothing tying Justin personally to that Sean Parker character, I do have to say, just after watching him in the role and everything that's going down in the past couple months, it's just a little bit scary how many times I forgot I was watching a movie. Number 3. Wifey. Justin's current wife is no stranger to her husband being a pain in the neck. One night a few years back, Justin was spotted holding hands with his Palmer co-star, Alicia Wainwright, while he was still very much married to Jessica Biel. Of course, the internet being what it is, saw that this man was holding another woman's hand and they were like, oh, they must be a couple, he's definitely cheating on his wife. I'm sorry, but that is very silly, and if you saw that picture and assumed that, you are also silly. Justin was forced to release a public statement clarifying that he had in fact not done anything bad with his co-star at all. He had a bit too much no-no juice and wasn't paying attention to how he was behaving. He claims to have grown close to his co-star, but in more of a brother-sister kind of way. Jessica forgave him, but he continued to showcase a pattern of careless actions, and he has used offensive accents and language during interviews and even while on stage performing his music. Because Justin associates himself with rap a lot, he seems to think he's good to use slang and speak with an accent that just doesn't sound right coming out of his face. Jessica and Justin posted photos together for the hashtag Time's Up movement, and for those of you who might have forgotten, I did just mention it, so you shouldn't have forgot that. So just saying, bad move, J-Dog. Number 2, cut it out. Musician SZA had to deal with Justin in a very public way on the now cancelled Ellen DeGeneres show. SZA and Justin were brought onto the show to discuss a collaboration, but it seemed like whenever Ellen was trying to ask a question, Justin felt that it was necessary to give the answer. On top of that, he continuously calls her sis and speaks with what many people agree are stereotypical catchphrases and mannerisms usually linked to people of color. So many people took to Twitter following the interview to ask why he was talking like this and why he was talking over her so much. What is with the voice? And if this man calls her sis one more time, people did not know what they were going to do. He was accused of cultural appropriation, only speaking this way when SZA was there, but as a lot of people know, he doesn't tend to speak with any specific mannerisms. The interview was uncomfortable and it clearly started some tension between these two. And at number 1, the court jester. In doing research for this video, I found over like 20 examples of Justin Timberlake making a fool of himself in public. He pretended to be Prince at a Golden Globes one year and crouched down to 5'2" and did a busted impression of him. Not a good move. He has a penchant for impressions though, as he also did this to Rihanna's mother as he accepted his American Music Award for Best Male Soul R&B Singer. He doesn't research the names of other things before he uses them, like the Take Back the Night situation and the anti-mistreatment organization thing. He literally paid someone to pretend to be Britney and crash a car on camera for his music video to What Goes Around Comes Around. I could go on all day about why this guy isn't great, but I will save that for another video.
Number 10, Jennifer Aniston nearly quit. Jennifer was the last to sign for the final 10th season of Friends, and she very nearly didn't return at all. Part of this was down to her busy career because at this point, she was definitely one of the most famous of the Friends cast. She had several movies on the slate. She later revealed that she was debating not coming back because she had a couple of issues that she was dealing with at the time. Jennifer said that she wanted to end the show when people still loved them and they were on a high. She also questioned herself about how long she really wanted to play Rachel. Jennifer obviously eventually agreed to the final season, but she is the reason why it's the shortest season, because she only agreed to return if it was cut short. Luckily for everyone, she decided to stay and felt bittersweet about the final season, and in the end she found herself wishing that it could have continued on. Most of the cast members' careers have crashed and burned after Friends ended, but Jennifer Aniston was a rare exception. She went on to star in several Hollywood blockbusters like Bruce Almighty, Break Up, Marley and Me, Just Go With It, Horrible Bosses, and We're the Millers, all of which were very successful at the box office. Number 9, Matthew struggled with substances. As we know, Matthew Perry's sudden death has completely shocked the world. The beloved actor was found at his home after an apparent drowning. He was only 54 years old, and his passing was an absolute tragedy. Many of the Friends cast struggled to deal with their newfound fame, and for Matthew, this led to problems with addiction, which he has been extremely open about in his memoir. Although he said that he was never drunk on set, he did admit to being painfully hungover to the point that everyone became aware of. After more than one stint in rehab, he managed to get clean, and then he became very passionate about helping other people who were struggling. Just last year, he revealed that he and Jennifer Aniston had stayed in each other's lives, and they remained in close contact. He said that it was actually Jennifer who confronted him first about his addictions during the filming of the show. Apparently, she approached him during a break and told him, "We know you're drinking." And looking back on that moment, Matthew thought that it was very scary, because in his own mind, he thought he was doing a perfectly fine job of hiding his habits from his co-stars. At a certain point, they all knew that he was in trouble, and they did their best to support him. Number 8, Lisa Kudrow sued the show. Lisa Kudrow's manager Scott Howard sued her in 2008, year after she ended her contract with him, and 4 years after Friends ended. Howard claimed that Lisa owed him residuals for the reruns of Friends and other projects that she had worked on while under his management, to the tune of 10% of everything that she got. He stopped paying him when the contract was dissolved and argued that the 10% was only payable when he was managing her. Eventually, he won the case in 2014, and the judge awarded him $1.6 million. Of course, for someone who earned $1 million per episode for the final seasons of Friends, that figure wouldn't have put too much of a dent in her bank account. In a statement, Lisa's attorney said, "The jury's verdict is merely one step in the legal process. This case will ultimately be resolved at the appellate level. Mrs. Kudrow has faith in the judicial system, and she believes that the eventual outcome of this contractual dispute will be in her favor." In a statement of his own, Scott Howard's attorney said, "What generally happens now with unsophisticated actress clients is they overpay for filing a frivolous appeal that has no chance for success." So this legal battle got extremely messy in the end, and it must have been embarrassing to be a part of. Number 7, David Schwimmer went into hiding. As we know, David struggled with the fame that came from being such a huge hit at such a young age. Of the main 6 actors in Friends, he's the one who has shied away from the limelight the most. Although he continued to work after the show ended, he spent many years preferring to do voice work, directing, producing, and has been candid about struggling to find a way to continue acting as he's such a huge celebrity. He said, "It was pretty jarring and it messed with my relationships with other people in a way that took years. I need to kind of adjust to and become comfortable. It made me want to hide under a baseball cap and not be seen. So I was trying to figure out, how do I be an actor in this new world, in this new situation?" Friends was such a huge hit from the moment it premiered that it didn't just bring fame to its stars, it brought a mega level of fame that is hard to understand. For David, it was just too hard to deal with. So much so that it didn't just affect him, but his relationships and other people as well. He was also an actor who, as a part of his craft, liked to be anonymous and observe people out in the world. But of course, he simply could not do that anymore once he reached that certain level of success. Number 6, Matt LeBlanc was arrested. Before he became famous, Matt was already getting used to that crazy party lifestyle that most people associate with being a celebrity. After Friends was finished, he admitted that he was arrested for drunk driving twice. He said, "When I was young and stupid, I wasn't driving fast, just crooked." This came up when he was cast as one of the hosts of the new Top Gear, and fans were not sure whether a history of reckless driving was a good thing when it came to presenting a show about cars. Matt dismissed the incidents as a product of his age, although he has said that he's grateful the press never got a hold of his mugshots. While his drunk driving record happened before fame and fortune came to him, he also got into some pretty dark times when it came to dealing with his newfound fame. He nearly had a nervous breakdown due to the intensity of working on Friends, especially when the show came to an end. Speaking about that time, Matt said that for years and years he barely left the house because he was so burnt out. He wanted not to have a schedule and not to have to be anywhere. Luckily, he was in a position financially to be able to do that with all of his savings, but of course his agent was not too happy. Matt said that was a very dark time for him, and it even led to a nervous breakdown. Number 5, Jennifer Aniston's wedding. While not every cast is close off screen, the cast of Friends was known for being friends in real life, as well as having a huddle before each episode started filming and negotiating their salaries as a team. The cast were often photographed out and about together, and they talked in interviews about how close they remained, even after the filming ended. I mean, Jennifer Aniston is even godmother to Courtney Cox's daughter. But in 2015, when she married Justin Theroux, she didn't invite any of her male co-stars to the ceremony. It was a small wedding with only 70 guests, but it did include Courtney and Lisa. Matthew Perry said that he was surprised he wasn't invited, but he was still very happy for the couple, despite the awkwardness of rejection. Hopefully though, he didn't take too much offense, considering that Jennifer didn't even invite her own mother to her wedding with Brad Pitt in 2000. In an interview with Ellen in 2018, she opened up about why she went years without talking to her mother Nancy Dow, saying, quote, "She was very critical of me. Because she was a model, she was beautiful, magnificent, I wasn't. I never was." She added that her mother was very unforgiving and would often hold long grudges. They ended up reuniting several years later, and by Jen's marriage to her second husband Justin in 2015, they were finally on speaking terms. But the funny thing is, Nancy still wasn't invited to that wedding either. Number 4, David's neighbors hated him. Even stars have feuds with their neighbors, and David Schwimmer is no exception. In 2010, the star bought a property in the East Village townhouse from 1852, and of course the land that it stood on. But he decided that rather than renovate it to keep up the facade, he would just tear the whole thing down and start fresh. It's something that a lot of property developers are known for doing, but it's never really a popular decision. As a result, an anonymous neighbor left a message for him that was too big to ignore. For some reason, they decided it would really upset him if they spray painted in huge letters on the construction site fence. They wrote the words, "Ross is not cool," which is both hilarious and kind of genius because it actually echoed a storyline from the show, where Ross moves into a new building and becomes enemies with the neighbors by not chipping in for the maintenance man's retirement gift, which kind of goes to show you that life really does imitate art. There's no saying how David reacted to this, but you can imagine that he wouldn't be too pleased that the construction site had graffiti. Matthew's extreme anxiety. Matthew Perry admitted 2 years ago that he suffered from anxiety, which often came when he was trying to be as funny as he could in front of the live studio audience while they were filming Friends. The admission came up during the HBO Max Friends reunion with Jennifer Aniston, Courtney Cox, Lisa Kudrow, Matt LeBlanc, and David Schwimmer. Matthew said that trying to be great made him extremely nervous, and his co-stars at the reunion said they never had any idea that he was suffering on set because he always delivered such a fabulous performance while being seemingly at ease. He said, "To me, I felt like I was going to die if they didn't laugh. And it's not healthy for sure, but I would sometimes say a line and they wouldn't laugh and I would sweat and just go into convulsions if I didn't get the laugh I was supposed to get. I would freak out." His co-star Lisa was shocked to hear that. She said that Matthew was always such a cool cucumber, and he was one of the best on set, always delivering a line well as he played Chandler. Even though he never said anything to his co-stars back then, he felt this way every single night. And as we know now, his time on Friends was significantly impacted by his addiction. Memoir controversy. One surprise takeaway from Matthew Perry's autobiography was his apparent feelings towards Keanu Reeves, after he repeatedly questioned why other actors die while Keanu is still alive. Quote, "Why is it that original thinkers like River Phoenix and Heath Ledger die, but Keanu Reeves still walks among us?" Upon learning that another former co-star Chris Farley had died, he wrote, "I punched a hole through Jennifer Aniston's dressing room wall when I found out." And in the next line he wrote, "Keanu Reeves still walks among us." Matthew would later apologize for the comments and then release a statement saying, "I'm actually a big fan of Keanu. I just chose a random name, my mistake. I apologize." But that wasn't it at all. There was also a lot of other interesting admissions in his memoir. Another thing he also revealed is that he asked out Jennifer Aniston before filming Friends. He said that the two of them were the only Friends stars who knew each other before the show, having met 3 years before through mutual acquaintances. In one part of the book he wrote, "I was immediately taken by her. How could I not be? And liked her. I got the sense that she was intrigued too, and maybe it was going to be something." Safe to say that fans were more than shocked by that revelation. And number 1, everyone was scared of Matt LeBlanc. Now Joey is far from a scary guy, but when Matt LeBlanc was first cast in the role, some of the other cast members were a little bit afraid of him. This fear was based off of what they knew about Matt himself, the fact that he was raised by a mechanic and had done a stint as a male model as well, and had done a stint as a male model, as well as what they knew about the character of Joey, who was known as a very forward womanizer. Jennifer Aniston in particular remembers being intimidated before she met him herself. She said, "I was scared of that type of guy. He thinks it's very funny now, and actually he can sit down and comfort me just like Courtney or Lisa could." So it's a good thing that Matt turned out to be just as much of a sweetheart as Joey was, despite a slightly rocky start.
Number 10. Tragedy. One of the more truly tragic revelations since the book's release is the fact that Megan suffered a loss very late in her journey as a mom. Within the final pages of the poetry book, Megan describes the heartbreaking pregnancy loss that she suffered with her fiance Colson Baker, better known as MGK. Megan told Kana Whitworth from ABC News that she had never been through anything like that before in her life. She has 3 kids already, so it was very difficult for both of them, and it sent them on a very wild journey together and separately and together and apart, trying to navigate what everything means and why it happened. Megan has made it clear since day one that this is not some expose memoir that you're going to sit down and read for 20 hours on end. This is a collection of truth told through her words. A story that needed to be shared or it was going to make her sick. She's dealt with physical violence from exes, manipulation, tragedy, all these things that she's had to deal with alone or behind closed doors. While she never names any names in her book, we still feel our hearts ache and wrench when she reads a single sentence. Number 9. Addicted to Boys. The title of Megan's book of poems is called Pretty Boys Are Poisonous and is filled with multiple excerpts regarding her past relationships. One thing that she's spoken about briefly in interviews about this book is the fact that she was addicted to boys and had a history of getting together with her co-stars. She told Drew Barrymore on the Drew Barrymore Show that when she was young, she was really rebellious and wild, always running away to fall in love with a new flame, aka every single co-star. She added that at the time, she felt herself to be a free spirit and was just addicted to the idea of falling in love. She went on to tell Drew that it was actually her kids, Noah, Bodhi, and Journey, that changed her whole mindset on relationships and love. She shares her 3 sons with her ex, Brian Austin Green, and she claims that something happened when she had her first child. She realized she didn't want to repeat the pattern of her own parents with her kids. Despite being a solid mom, she did admit that she's been a little bad in the past, admitting that she painted a Friedrich Nietzsche quote on an ex's wall in a ton of paint just so they had to redo their room, poking fun at herself by saying anyone who dated her should write a poetry book as she was not a peach. Number 8. Oxy and Takiki. There is a poem in this book that shares a similar name to this entry, kind of. I'm not allowed to say the real thing on the internet. And restrictions. Megan revealed on Good Morning America that she has been in several physical and mentally damaging relationships. I know that's not even close to the right word to use, but again, can't say the real one. She explained that she was involved with a very famous dude, but that nobody knew that she was dating him. This unnamed celebrity is one of the men described as an evil ex in this book. In her poem, she describes a dark moment with this unnamed man, writing, "Your eyes go black and I know it's too late to run." She told people that she was pinned, spat on, and later had hands placed on her throat by a delusional and possessed man. I had the opportunity to listen to some parts of this book, and I am saying this with 100% sincerity. Go read this book. Megan is a wonderful writer, and I honestly feel like these words are so powerful. This particular one is indescribable. Like, I can't read the entire thing because it's got so many no words in it, but also I don't want to ruin it for you. Number 7, MGK rumors. Cheating rumors are always circulating about everyone. Nobody believes that Hollywood icons can partake in a normal, healthy relationship. For Megan and her fiance MGK, there have been rumors forever. Since the first day that these two were spotted together, people have been convinced that MGK is somehow an unfaithful maniac. But like, why do people think that? Not sure if you've listened to this guy speak about his music or just in general recently, but he's a bit of a sweetheart. I watched this man paint his nails with Drew Barrymore on her show. They talked about life, career, and so many cool things, yet the internet looks at this man and just assumes that he's a menace. Well, the rumors were of course false, and Megan Fox actually had to clear the air herself. There was a rumor that MGK was seeing someone named Sophie, who is MGK's guitarist. Megan cleared the air and let everybody know that not only had MGK never cheated on her, she was actually pretty close with bandmates and was confident that Sophie and her fiance were not an item. Megan told people that it was extremely disrespectful to run a news story that was baseless and contains only lies. Very true. Number 6. 2009 Golden Globes. Now, this isn't a revelation from a book, but it's something that she had to go through publicly, and it does deserve to be mentioned. In 2009, comments started flying left and right after Megan Fox was spotted acting a little bit strange at that year's Golden Globes award ceremony. She explained that during the event, she was placed at a table with Blake Lively and the Jonas Brothers. In the center of the table was a bottle of Moe Champagne. She went through multiple glasses of that very quickly. At the time, she was not much of a no juice indulger, but following her actions at the event, she decided to quit for good. She actually had herself a good old-fashioned blackout at the event, but the parts that she does remember are not great. She went on the red carpet and said a lot of things that apparently got her in a ton of trouble. In a clip from 2009, Megan can be seen walking around telling people how nervous she was to be there and that she was on the verge of tossing up her cookies at any moment. She also made a ton of comments on her female co-stars, nothing bad. Just one quote I found in particular was her expressing how much she wanted to have Salma Hayek's chest. The evening was also a bit strange as people were wondering where her husband at the time, Brian Austin Green, was. She told people that he was a man with an ego and that he didn't want to be her date. Number 5. Shoplifting. Megan's done a lot of things over the years, and one of those things, as it turns out, is shoplifting. Not while she was famous though. She did not pull a Winona Ryder. She actually stole a $7 bottle of lip gloss from the Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen makeup collection when she was still in her teens. She revealed in a resurfaced interview that the Walmart employees actually caught her and called the police. She was made to go to a real courtroom and appear in front of a real judge who gave her two options. Either she had to wear a sign that says "I stole from Walmart" and stand outside for 3 days, or she could wrap Christmas presents. Guess which one she picked. So hey, if you had Christmas presents wrapped at a Walmart in the US roughly 20 years ago, might have been Megan Fox. Hey, that's pretty cool. There is not a chance on this planet that that paper still exists, but hey, that'd be pretty valuable paper if it did. Number 4, Michael Bay scandal. Megan has been featured in several films over the years, but it was an interview about her time working with Michael Bay that landed her in a lot of hot water. The original live-action Transformers movies came out in 2007 and co-starred Megan and Shia LaBeouf in the leading roles. Now, they were fun films on screen, but behind the scenes there was apparently a ton of tension on set. According to Megan, who had previously worked with Michael on Bad Boys 2, working for Michael was like working for Schmittler. Fun fact, if you had sh in front of someone's names, you can say it online. Loophole. Of course, Michael didn't appreciate being compared to like one of the worst men in human history, so many speculated that her being left out of the third movie might have had something to do with this behind the scenes drama. She went on to call him bland and claimed that he had no personality or social skills, which is just plain rude. I don't know why she had to say that. When the comments were made public, her career began to slowly suffer. Not only was she written out of the Transformers series, but she was forced to make a public apology and retract her statements following the slew of backlash. She took a few years off, but Michael himself later acknowledged that there were missteps on both parts and accepted her retractions. But the pair were able to patch things up and work together on the live-action Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle movies from 2014. So, yay us! Number 3, Me Too movement. As some may remember, the Me Too movement began back in the mid-2010s and acted as a conduit for performers to speak out against their fellow Hollywood peers and, actually have their voices heard. Many celebrities were outed and the situations with them are so bad that I can't even say their names. But I can make up new ones. People like Bill Cos, Harvey Hamburger Shop, and Kevin Spaceman were at the forefront of these allegations. Megan was actually left out of this conversation at the time, and it was mainly due to her being annoyed at Hollywood. She had actually been trying to out some of her peers for years, but according to Megan, she was ridiculed every time she actually spoke up. For Megan, she had already expressed how uncomfortable she felt on certain sets, especially Bad Boys 2, where she was under a waterfall at the age of 15, and claims that she had tried to bring attention to the misogyny that exists in Hollywood long before the movement existed. However, the movement only made her a bigger punchline. Even when she attempted to branch out into more female-led projects, she was apparently met with similar ridicule. She claims to have never felt truly included in the movement, but believes in it nonetheless. Number 2, lied about LA. Celebrities indulge their stories all the time. Most careers are literally built on the foundation of lying for money. While Megan may be great on screen, she's apparently a wonderful liar off screen as well. During an interview with GQ a while back, she detailed her wild nights out when she first moved to Los Angeles, detailing a specific club that she used to attend regularly called The Body Shop. Inside, she met a woman named Nikita and fell hard. Megan explains that she would buy her things, frequent the establishments, and a few other steamy details that I can't get into. However, a few years later, the story was revealed to be heavily indulged by Megan herself. She said that the story was true, but she might have exaggerated some of the aspects for fun. For instance, she made it seem like the relationship between herself and Nikita was physical or romantic, but that just wasn't the case. She just had a crush and they got along. Simple as that. And at number 1, legendary. While in attendance at the highly anticipated battle between Conor McGregor and Dustin Poirier at UFC 264 in 2021, Meghan made some observations about the former president, Donald Trump. During an interview with Jimmy Kimmel, she revealed that the entire audience was in awe of this man attending the event. She said that when he entered, it was to a ton of applause, and that he was surrounded by tons of Secret Service agents, to which she said Trump was the legend. Now, when news broke that Meghan called him a legend, there was a ton of backlash, but she quickly clarified what she meant with the statement. She said that she doesn't align herself with any political parties or individual politicians. She never said that Don was a legend. She said that his appearance at the arena was legendary, okay? She ended the statement by sarcastically saying that she appreciated the uneducated, medieval, pitchfork-carrying, burn a witch at the stake mentality that the world needs more of. Well said. Number 10, Justin Timberlake. One of the most discussed sections of The Woman in Me, a memoir by Britney Spears, is of course a revelation on what really happened while she was dating her Mickey Mouse Club co-star Justin Timberlake. After meeting JT in the clubhouse, the two sparked a romantic connection, and their connection was strong, but unfortunately Britney had to make a terrible decision in the year 2000 when she found out she was pregnant. And at first she was very excited about the whole thing because she wanted to be a parent. In her book she revealed that she had planned on starting a family with Justin, but I guess it was just going to be a little bit earlier than she expected. Well, it turns out Justin, not so excited, and told her that they were both too young to start a family, continuing to remind her that their careers would also need to be put on pause. This revelation may be part of the reason that Justin reportedly was so nervous leading up to the book's release, and since the book's release, he's had to turn off his Instagram notifications because, hey, he's terrible and people want to let him know. Britney revealed that if the decision had solely been left to her, she would have gone through with the pregnancy, but she decided to go the opposite route instead. She claims that she only did this because Justin clearly didn't want to be the dad, and in the book she said that looking back, it was one of the most agonizing things she had ever experienced in her life. Number 9, Jamie Foxx. So this is one of the more recent secrets that's been revealed, so to speak. So far, this is just an allegation, but a woman is suing Jamie Foxx for alleged physical mistreatment at a rooftop restaurant. The allegations are being backed up by 2 eyewitnesses, a friend of the victim, and a security guard who saw the whole thing go down and let it happen. According to the unnamed woman, she spotted Jamie at a restaurant around 11 p.m. and after a couple of hours decided to ask him for a picture. Jamie was apparently under the influence, and according to the accuser, he became very handsy as the night progressed. He said yes to the picture and then apparently said that the woman had a model's body and smelled good. Then there are some darker and honestly pretty disturbing details that I can't go into in this channel, but if they're true, something tells me Jamie's career may be done. Truly just dark stuff. The court case is being brought forward as the Survivors Act is about to be implemented in the US. This act allows victims of physical offenses to bring civil cases to court after the statute of limitations has expired. The statute means that after a certain amount of time has passed, the victim can no longer file criminal charges. However, the new act means that civil cases are good to go. So we will see what happens to Jamie in the coming weeks. Number 8. Lizzo. Lizzo may have been a public advocate for body positivity, but as part of the lawsuit being brought up against her, it looks like all that positivity may have just been an act that she was putting on to make herself more universally loved. Now, I'm not a small man. In fact, I have what many call a dad bod, and I'm very cool with it. So I'm not dismissing the notion that we should love and respect ourselves, but come on, she made it a massive part of her personality on camera when it sounds like the only body she actually cared about was her own. According to her dancers, Lizzo regularly shames her team and makes them feel that they are too large or gaining weight, with several dancers confirming these claims. One of the dancers, Crystal Davies, who is part of this lawsuit, was fired for secretly recording a meeting between herself and Lizzo. The meeting was about the dancer's performance on stage recently and her apparently disliking the weight that she had been gaining, claiming that she wasn't committing to the role. She was also bringing her dancers to weird places and making them do weird things. Lizzo was at a club in Amsterdam's red light district when she coerced, aka forced, a dancer to touch a woman's bare chest despite saying no several times. She also made them eat bananas from some no-no zones. Again, nobody's idea of fun. Currently, there is still a court case up in the air and no one knows what will happen, but so far Lizzo is maintaining that she did nothing and will prove her innocence. Number 7, Russell Brand. Even before the controversy surrounding Russell Brand came up this year, this dude was unwelcome everywhere. Royal events, awards shows, kids' birthday parties, who knows? For anyone who doesn't know, I'm really really sorry to be the one to tell you, but Russell Brand is a terrible person. The man known best as a comedian, a bringer of joy, was secretly manipulative, aggressive, and at times violent with his ex-partners. Following in the news that a documentary about his life and career was set to release on BBC's Channel 4, several complaints got filed against him, alleging mistreatment during their time together. The allegations were actually reinforced by Russell's ex, Katy Perry, who they dated for quite some time, and she came to learn that Russell was short-tempered, opinionated, and stubborn. Russell's career was cancelled, and he's currently awaiting a trial. Number 6, Jonathan Majors. Jonathan Majors is currently the man behind Kang the Conqueror in the MCU. He was written as an important person in that franchise, being a villain in a couple of movies, and recently a villain in the Loki TV show. Unfortunately for Jonathan Majors, an ex has come forward and alleged that Jonathan was physically violent towards her while they were together. Since March of this year, Majors and his team had been adamant that the situation was blown out of proportions and that there really is nothing to be upset about, which is always a fun thing to say to people during these situations. In fact, in June, Majors filed his own cross-complaint accusing his accuser. The prosecutors refuted these claims and told him they had no plans on prosecuting Grace Jabari, who was the woman who accused him. Majors has been dropped from his agency, and so far his role on TV and film is pretty up in the air. I mean, his character Kang may even be kicked out of the MCU and replaced by Doctor Doom, so let's see what happens as the year progresses. Number 5, Jada Pinkett Smith. Cheating rumors and dating scandals followed Jada and Will throughout their entire relationship. Since day one, people were convinced that they were in an open relationship or had just been straight up cheating on each other. Turns out that those rumors were kind of true, because ahead of the release of her book Worthy, Jada sat down with People magazine and every other news outlet to share some inside info. The most revealing one was that herself and Will Smith were actually separated for 7 years. Of course, that's not all though. Jada is slowly ruining that guy's life and then some. When Jada revealed the truth about her separation from Will, she claimed that by the time they reached 2016, they just became exhausted with each other. The news of their separation was a mild shock at best, because Super Sleuth fans claim that they had proof Will and Jada were separated a long time ago. Some of the clips that were submitted as evidence of Will and Jada just prove it, because Will and Jada was on Red Table Talk and he looks drained. He just looks like a man dealing with so much mentally speaking. In her conversation with Will, she literally says that herself and Will had basically broken up, but instead of just outright admitting the information, she decided to hold on to it until the release of her book. A lot of Jada fans commented on the resurfaced clips, and we can all agree just Will is having a rough time, and I just feel for this guy at this point. I could go on and on about how terrible Jada Pinkett Smith is, but I've only got a couple of minutes and I already wrote a lot of lists about why she's bad, so go check them out. Number 4, Mark Wahlberg. Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch hit the rap scene in 1991, and despite sounding like the title of a cheesy kids cartoon, the crew had a small following and garnered quite a bit of success. Enough for leading man Mark Wahlberg to be spotted, picked up by Hollywood to star in The Corruptor, a 1999 action flick that sees Mark play the leading man, Danny Wallace, a police officer who attempts to stop substance trafficking and corruption by the Chinese triads. He had a successful acting career that's recently been declining in quality, but he's still acting and he looks great at 52, so please don't hurt me, Mark Wahlberg. Growing up in Boston, he was the youngest of 9 children and was relentlessly bullied by his fellow siblings. His parents divorced when he was very young, and he became addicted to no-no snow by the time he was 13. He dropped out of high school and was eventually arrested at the age of 18 for attempting to slay 2 Vietnamese men. Apparently, he was walking home late one night under the influence of hallucinogens when he spotted the men. Close friends at the time confirmed that Mark did have a bit of a racial bias with his upbringing, which caused him to be instantly aggressive towards anyone who, wasn't white. He attempted to swing a large log at them, which made contact and knocked one of them unconscious. He was eventually released after serving only 45 days of a 2-year prison sentence, and he vowed to change his life forever. So far, that promise seems to be kept, and I can personally confirm that he's a very polite and patient person, because he watched a movie at a theater I used to work at. He travels with like 5 people at all times. It's a little intimidating. Number 3, Margot Robbie. Margot may be a perfect Barbie on screen, but apparently behind the scenes, she may be a psycho. In a recent interview with BBC Radio 1, Margot reminisced about a little prank she pulled on an old babysitter. It involved kitchen cutters, which is the word I'm forced to use for See, they bleep it out. Apparently, Margot has just gotten a new babysitter, a much older woman that just was not as cool as Talia, her old babysitter, so she hatched a plan of sweet, sweet revenge. After a particularly trying day where Margot refused to take a bath, she decided to kick the old lady out for good and grabbed ketchup, a stabby-jabby device, and laid face down on the kitchen tiles. The old I'm kinda dead routine. As you may expect, her babysitter walked in, took one look, screamed, and just jogged out the door. She was gone. She traumatized the woman, who quit, and Margot successfully got her old babysitter back. But that's very messed up, and Margot was so young when she did that. That is so dark, a dark place for someone's mind to go that early on. Was she secretly a little crazy this whole time? Might explain why she is the best Harley Quinn we've ever seen on screen. Number 2, Tim Allen. Tim Allen is the voice of Buzz Lightyear, the star of ABC's popular sitcom Home Improvement, which premiered in 1991. And while he may have played a family man on TV, a lot of fans may not know that Tim was a smuggler of no-no snow in the early 1970s. According to Tim, he got mixed up with some pretty bad people back in the day while he was selling certain substances on the street for a couple of bucks. In 1978, Tim was arrested in the Kalamazoo Battle Creek International Airport and was caught with more than 650 grams, 1.4 pounds of no-no snow. Unfortunately for Tim, state legislators had just passed a law that tied a life sentence to any conviction of selling 650 grams or more. Like, there was a guy from the government just next to his car like, oh, 650, all right, well, if you got 650, then you're going to jail. However, that sentence was never served, and it was revealed that Tim was set up by an undercover police officer who had been following him for months. Due to this and Tim's cooperation in providing the names of fellow dealers to the authorities, it led to him receiving a lighter conviction that allowed him to be sentenced in a federal court instead of a state one, so he was able to ignore that new policy. His information led to 20 arrests and the sentencing of a major dealer. So think about this entire entry and tell me that wouldn't be a great movie. Number 1, Danny Matheson. Danny Matheson was that 70s show's popular boy, and it helped launch several careers, including Mila Kunis, Ashton Kutcher, and of course himself. Danny was also on this show, and it turns out the allegations against him date back to 2004 and were reported in 2004. Danny was still on the show when an investigation took place. 4 women reported that he had mistreated them physically, prompting local law enforcement to halt production of that 70s show and bring Danny in for questioning. The investigation brought little to no actual evidence to the table because it was just that time, so Danny was let go and the whole thing was forgotten about. But that means that Ashton and Mila watched this dude shut down their project and still said, hey, he's a great guy. When the charges come up again 15 years later, people are still sticking to his side that he was friends with, but it turns out that he was an actual menace and a horrible person, and he's gonna go to jail. Thankfully, in 2023, it's a lot easier to confirm allegations like this, and he was recently sentenced to 3 years in prison. Number 10, how they met. In an interview with Harper's Bazaar UK in 2019, Sophie spoke about their meeting, and she basically said they got set up. She explained that they had a lot of mutual friends, and they had been trying to introduce them for quite some time. Apparently, they were following each other on Instagram, and he direct messaged her one fine day out of the blue. Soon after the meeting, he invited her to meet up with his tour that was passing through the UK. She said that the two of them had an instant connection, even though she hadn't expected to like him. She said he didn't bring security, he brought a friend, and they drank just as hard as the rest of us. I remember us two spending only a couple of minutes on the dance, and then we found a space in the far corner, and we just talked. Sophie went on to say that they talked for hours and hours, but that she was never bored. She felt that the conversation wasn't contrived, it wasn't small talk. From her point of view, it was just easy. She said soon they were inseparable, and then she went on tour with him. So at that point, it seemed like she had really fallen hard for this dude, and marriage came very quickly after that. Like, very quickly, but we'll talk about that in a minute. Number 9, age is but a number. Joe was 28 years old when he popped the question to his then 21-year-old girlfriend, Sophie. A lot of people believe that age is just a number. Many didn't find this to be a big deal at first. An insider close to the couple revealed that they were madly in love, and while Sophie is a bit younger than he is, she grew up in a small English town, so it's not completely out of the ordinary for an age difference to be glossed over. Many fans also came to her defense, citing her mental maturity. While she may have been 21, she was forced to grow up very fast, and because of that, she was probably closer to like a 30-year-old mentally speaking. The red flag is that much like celebrities like Leonardo DiCaprio or Al Pacino, Joe tends to date people much younger than himself, like supermodel Gigi Hadid. His oldest girlfriend was Taylor Swift. She was a whole 4 months older than him. Wow, make way for grandma! Despite how uncomfortable many fans found the age gap to be, the couple did not care, and really, that's what matters. Number 8, Flirty McGurty. When these two first got together, it was believed that Joe had all of the leverage. Why? Well, Sophie was into him for quite some time, but she was aware that at the time, Joe was not known for his commitment skills. When they first met, he was a player, and according to several women, he was seeing them simultaneously and without each other's knowledge. Joe's tone shifted though when he met Sophie. By December of 2016, he was becoming a one-woman kind of guy. According to Sophie, they were intoxicated with each other and they started dating exclusively. However, it appears that he was playing the field for so long that he's forgotten to turn off his game. Joe was still flirting with women at his shows, and while it may have been accidental, the fact that he's not aware of what he's doing was cause for concern. Not only has Joe flirted with other people in the past, but apparently his ex Sophie did as well, with one of Joe's close friends whose jaw literally dropped when he saw her in real life. Number 7. The private PDA? Despite crying out to the public to just leave them alone, Sophie and Joe were known for their aggressive PDA. Whether it's getting cozy at an awards show, or at a Kings of Leon's concert, or during a shopping trip. Page 6 reported that in May of 2017, the couple went into a dressing room together in a Soho boutique. According to the report, the couple entered the change room and a customer noticed both of them in bare feet below the door. Now, while it's super creepy that someone was just peeking under doors in Soho, it was clear that Sophie was trying on clothes for Joe in the privacy of their own little room. When they exited, they noticed the couple to be giggly and very touchy-feely. Now, while being close isn't a bad thing per se, these two have constantly asked the world to ignore them and stop focusing on their love lives. Well, hey man, then stop licking your wife in public. Number 6. In and out. Las Vegas weddings. Quick, easy, and everlasting. Joe and Sophie tied the knot in Las Vegas after publicly claiming several times that they were in no rush to get married. After telling the world they'd be taking time off for themselves following their engagement, it was not less than a month later that they tied the knot and attended the Billboard Music Awards right after getting their license, like on the exact same day. They went to a little wedding chapel in Las Vegas that's famous for its star weddings, like Britney Spears' marriage to her friend Jason Alexander for 2 days. Not to mention, the wedding featured some huge Vegas cliches. There was an Elvis impersonator literally officiating the thing. Many speculate that Joe was trying to prove something to his brothers by throwing the exact opposite of their weddings. Nick Jonas and Priyanka Chopra had an extravagant $1 million wedding spanning multiple days. The only people in attendance for Joe and Sophie were Joe's brothers, DJ Khaled and Diplo. They also didn't wear the traditional dress and suit, instead opting for slacks and jeans. To cap it all off, they used ring pops instead of real rings to seal the deal. Man, I feel like I'm describing a dream that I had. Number 5. Sophie was hesitant. Sophie Turner previously admitted to OK Australia in 2016 that she's never dated anyone who she didn't know before or who is in the industry. Her reasoning? Well, in addition to being more focused on her career than her love life at the time, she claimed that their lifestyles were a contributing factor. Joe and Sophie had different ideas of what was fun. She went on to say how on-set romances are amazing, but they tend to be very temporary when it comes to their time together, so that was a big fear for her. The logistics seemed to be her main concern as well. If she was filming in Australia and he was on tour in the States, how would that work? They'd never see each other. After getting together officially with Joe, Sophie did admit that she felt like she was in a fishbowl. Frustratingly for her, the smallest thing would be made into headline news. If she stubbed her toe on the sidewalk, it was in the front page. Her frustrations are legitimate, but why maintain this charade for so long if you're uncomfortable from the start? Number 4. Short and sweet. Before being engaged, the couple only dated for a very short time. Joe Jonas and Sophie Turner were first linked after attending a Halloween party together in 2016. The singer showed up dressed as a Dalmatian, while his love interest sported some pink sequins bunny ears, according to People magazine. Less than a week later, they were spotted looking very comfortable at the pre-MTV European Music Awards event in the Netherlands, where Kings of Leon's performed. Less than a year after getting together, Sophie was spotted with a ring on her finger and the engagement was confirmed. Many people get engaged early in their relationship, but as you've seen through this video, this was a case of rushing into things a little too quickly considering some of the other entries on this list. Number 3. She's messing with a gold digger. According to an inside source close to the couple, Joe was beyond excited when he started dating Sophie, and sounds like it's because of her money. According to the source, one of the main reasons that Joe is so smitten with his ex-man wife is because she is able to provide for herself and for him. Apparently, Sophie does not let Joe pay for most things, something the musician is not used to. When speaking about his wife in interviews, Joe kinda just backed up the whole gold digger theory, as the first and foremost thing that he mentions is how much he loves her independence. He literally said, "She buys me stuff all the time. I love it." While many praised Sophie for her efforts, many people started pointing out the red flag and expressing their discomfort knowing that Joe Jonas doesn't pay the bill when he's out with his lady. Maybe that's why they're getting divorced. Maybe she kept the tabs and the bill finally came due. Number 2. Different love languages. According to Sophie herself, she learned that a majority of what she knows about physical intimacy was from her time on the HBO series Game of Thrones. I'm not sure why this needs to be said, but I'm gonna say it. Don't treat Game of Thrones as something to learn from. Dragons aren't real. They're not real, Nate. Thanks to the show, it may have skewered her view on what proper intimacy looks like. Meanwhile, Joe just seems to love chit-chatting about his private parts. Seriously, like every chance this guy gets, it's genitalia. He boasted to Vulture in December of 2013 about removing his purity ring, which himself and his brothers Kevin and Nick rocked during their Disney days. In October of 2016, he then talked about the size of his little dinghy compared to that of his brothers, which is just too much information. Very uncomfortable. He goes on to recount the time that he lost his V card and about becoming a little bit too excited while filming music videos with Ashley Graham and Charlotte McKinney. Sophie has expressed her disappointment in this lack of restraint and has begged him to quit numerous times, but he persists and now they're divorced. And at number 1, Joe took off his wedding ring first. In the weeks leading up to this divorce announcement, Joe was photographed without his wedding ring quite a few times. One of those moments was as far back as August 11th, when he was picking up an iced coffee in New York City. But since then, he's made a point of wearing it again, even as the couple have officially filed for divorce. On Monday, Joe posted a black and white photo on Instagram that showed him looking at the camera and holding a cup with his wedding band prominently on full display. Then, just this morning, he posted a statement to Instagram claiming that it was from the two of them. It said, "After 4 wonderful years of marriage, we have mutually decided to amicably end our marriage. There are many speculative narratives as to why, but truly this is a united decision and we sincerely hope that everyone can respect our wishes for privacy for us and our children." This is quite a shock considering that the news only broke a few days ago. Sources spoke to TMZ and said that Joe had his people contact at least 2 divorce lawyers in LA, and the couple has had serious problems in their relationship for at least 6 months. Number 10. The literal warnings from viewers. Despite 8 Passengers' popularity during its run, Frank's parenting style drew scrutiny and allegations of mistreatment from viewers very early on. Following a viewerschange.org petition to have the Franks investigated, Utah's Division of and Family Services visited the Franks' home and interviewed the children for 2 hours. According to a DCFS letter reviewed by Insider, the case was dropped due to a lack of evidence for the allegations. In an interview with the same outlet in 2020, Frank explained, "What people aren't understanding is that we are giving our choice in everything. We are teaching our children to be self-governing, so I was always very open with our son that he gets to choose how long he's separate from his brother, depending on his behavior." One incident that concerned viewers occurred when the Franks' daughter Eve went to school one day without her lunch. In a vlog, Ruby recalled a text message that she received from Eve's teacher asking whether she would be able to drop off some food to school, and Ruby responded with, "Eve is responsible for making her own lunches in the morning, so the natural outcome is she's gonna be hungry. Hopefully nobody gives her food and nobody steps in and gives her lunch." You ever just wanna throw someone off a cliff? Number 9. Filmed herself. One of the biggest red flags of all is her obliviousness to what she has been doing. Not only did this woman mistreat her family, she filmed the entire thing. Seriously, someone must have told her that she was the best vlogger around, because despite being an actual piece of trash come to life, she continued to film every single terrible thing she ever did and shared it with the world. I'm not gonna get too deep into it because I can't talk about it. She has filmed herself making her cry, demanding that they apologize for little things and literally calling them liars. Her eldest have even gone so far as to disown their mom, removing her as the legal guardian. According to the eldest, they have been trying to call their mom out for years, but their cries fell on deaf ears, finally being vindicated and seeing justice play out. Number 8. Her channel. Per Fox 13, Frank and her husband Kevin Frank are a Mormon couple and parents of 6.
Cherie, Chad, Abby, Julie, Russell, and Eve. In 2015, the couple started the 8 Passengers channel on YouTube that documented the family's daily life. According to NPR, the most viewed clips from the channel showed the experiences growing up, such as them trying on clothes and being disciplined. At the height of its popularity, 8 Passengers had 2.5 million subscribers, only it was shut down this year. The main cause of the shutdown was the fact that those 2.5 million viewers were extremely concerned for the family and were noticing patterns of mistreatment from day one. Whoopi thought she was popular for being a good parent, but people were just watching her videos in disbelief that a person this dense actually existed. Number 7, she's withholding. If Whoopi knows how to do one thing wrong, it's be a parent. Since being arrested, thousands of fans have released video evidence of her being horrible over the years. One of her biggest overreactions that was documented was her refusal to celebrate Christmas one year to teach her a lesson about being selfish. Whoopi literally showed them all of the gifts that she bought them and never gave them to the kids. She also refused to bring her daughter lunch one day after accidentally leaving it at home, like I talked about earlier, literally keeping food from the mouth of the person you're supposed to feed. It's disgusting. This woman deserves all the hate she is receiving, and I hope she gets put away for a very, very long time. Number 6, neighbors warned CPS. In the aftermath of Frank and Hildebrandt's arrests, 2 unidentified neighbors of Ruby Frank in Springfield, Utah spoke to NBC News, revealing that some people in the neighborhood earlier contacted the Utah Division of Child and Family Services over concerns about the welfare of the kids. Frank's neighbors also alleged that she began spending more time away from her home after she got involved with the company Connections. An anonymous source told NBC News that Frank kicked her husband Kevin out of their house last year. People have reached out to lawyers representing Kevin, Frank, but they did not immediately hear back, so it's unclear if Frank or Hildebrandt have retained attorneys to speak on their behalf at this very moment. Number 5, her advice is terrible. Despite being a famous family vlogger, most people think her advice is just trash. The woman behind 8 Passengers, aka The Devil, is known for spouting some absolute nonsense. She shared her so-called parenting advice on her YouTube channel, which was basically ignore your when they cry for help and no pranks in the house. One of her most controversial comments / bad advice was suggesting that eating disorders were something made up for attention and are something to be ignored entirely. Anyone who's ever suffered from an eating disorder before knows for a fact that that's not the case. In fact, most times it's something uncontrollable, like a reaction to some serious life stuff. Stress, anxiety, literally so many things can cause that issue. She has said a million things that are wrong and cruel, but I'm not gonna get into all of them because my head might physically explode. I don't like this lady. Number 4, her business partner. Following 8 Passengers, Frank launched the Connections podcast with Jody Hildebrandt, a therapist and founder of a self-improvement and empowerment company of the same name. According to the company's mission statement on its website, they invite and encourage healing and facilitate personal growth through impeccable honesty, rigorous personal responsibility, and humility. Okay. Per USA Today, viewers described both Frank and Hildebrandt's philosophy on parenting as extremely strict. In an April 2023 interview with the Into the Light podcast recorded before her mother's arrest, Cherie Frank explained that her family's involvement in the Connections company was a reason for her estranged relationship. She said that they joined Connections so that they could be growth-oriented. However, over time, according to her, Connections' teachings became more extreme and made her wonder if they were in accordance with her Christian beliefs. Her business partner is also involved in the arrest, as she is suspected to not only have knowledge of the mistreatment, but that she actively encouraged it. Number 3, uncomfortable family. The proof that this woman was a literal monster comes from her interactions with her own family. Over the years, whether it's been online or in her own personal life, Whoopi really likes to just document everything that happens for the cameras. Every time someone from her life is on camera, they just look immediately uncomfortable. They always seem to be taken off guard and in fear of what this woman might say next. In family portraits taken over the years, you can literally see Whoopi with an iron grip on her as if she's going to pick them up and walk away the moment the photo is taken. Since the news of her arrest has come out, her eldest children have come forward to confirm their mother's behavior over the years, claiming that family photos meant everyone make mom look good. or else. This woman is terrible, and I'm not gonna try to be funny here because there's just no reason to be. She's terrible. That's it. She's terrible. Number 2, pranking. Ruby may be known for her strict parenting skills, but in May of this year, she posted a video with her son Chad titled "What We Haven't Told You." This video may have been the first red flag, and honestly should have been. In the video, Chad confessed that he was forced to sleep on a beanbag chair for 7 months in their basement as a punishment for tricking his little brother into thinking the family was going to Disneyland. This was something that had recently happened, as Chad mentions that he was just given his room back a few weeks prior to filming the video, and that video came out in May of this year. Chad told the story of the prank, and while it's cruel for sure, his mother's reaction is beyond extreme. According to Ruby, this was not the main reason she had forced him into the chair, claiming that he had been behind some extreme jokes on his younger siblings. But while they laughed this off initially, nobody thought this was funny, and thousands of comments were left claiming that this was just another form of neglect. Now, neglect is not the right word to use here, but I'm not allowed to say the real one on the internet. And at number 1, she's TikTok famous. TikTok is the reason that some truly terrible people have a massive following around the world. Ruby is one of those people. Over the years, to boost her views, Ruby has been posting TikToks with either edited footage from her YouTube channel or just straight up something that she made at home. While the videos have amassed millions of likes and views, it's not for the right reasons. The videos that are most popular see her giving either terrible parenting advice or showcasing just how horrible this woman really is. Her reaction to her behavior is truly something to behold. It seems like everything they do deserves just an overreaction. In one TikTok with over 11.3 million views, Ruby is scolding her youngest for not being excited about going to the movies, literally forcing her to smile and apologize. Several other TikToks showcase her reacting to her family and them having this face of just sheer terror. Every other day, she was tormenting the people she loved and treating them like dirt. So those are the Ruby red flags that we should have seen coming. Let us know how much you hate Ruby in the comments below. This video touches on some truly heavy subject matter, so I've asked the editor of this to include links to mental health services that are open 24/7.
Number 10, Justin Bieber's roast. The comedy roast. The most wonderful tradition of the comedy world. A gathering of some of the funniest and most clever people on the scene coming together to make fun of each other on stage in a friendly and dark performance. In 2012, actor, comedian, scholar, and jerk James Franco participated in one of these roasts, inviting several top-tier comedians like Sarah Silverman, Aziz Ansari, and to host the show, he got his longtime buddy, Seth Rogen. One of the key members of the dais was Jonah Hill. Jonah was best known for comedic roles in movies like The Sitter and Superbad, but around 2011 he made a shift to the more serious side of filming, starring alongside Brad Pitt in the movie Moneyball. While he was sitting in his cozy little chair before his turn on the mic, everyone who came up to the stage had a joke to make about Jonah's behavior. He's been cold and rude, man, with his head jammed so far up his rear that he looks like an alien from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. When Jonah came to the stage to retort, he held his own, but his words were noticeably more scripted compared to his fellow performers who gave like a more off-the-cuff and authentic delivery. The truth has been there all along. Jonah said little to nothing to his fellow roasters following the event, apparently snubbing James himself. Everyone collaborated on a movie called This Is the End, and according to Seth Rogen, it was the last time that he ever saw Jonah Hill smiling and enjoying his time on set. It seems that his turn to the more serious side of things may have taken a toll on his ability to feel joy. Number 9, his choice of roles. Jonah's career is filled with everything from comedy blockbusters to serious dramatic pieces. He got his start working in comedy films, with one of his first performances being a brief cameo in the film 40-Year-Old Virgin before moving to a leading role in the classic cult comedy Superbad. It's one of my favorite movies, and Jonah is by far one of the best parts of it, on top of Bill Hader and Seth Rogen as cops. That's just legendary. While he started making people laughing in 2007, by the mid-2010s, Jonah had shifted his efforts to the more serious and macabre, with his roles in films like True Story and Wolf of Wall Street. He even earned an Oscar nomination for his supporting character in Moneyball with Brad Pitt. The red flag was the dramatic shift in tone from Hill as a performer. If you put his posters from the last 20 years side by side, you'll see that the older he gets, the less color there is on the page. Like, the more serious things are, the more black and white they need to be. He attempted to return to the comedy world in a recent Netflix movie called Don't Look Up, but thanks to the news of his possible tyranny arising, we doubt there will be a 23 Jump Street anytime soon. Number 8, his refusal to be interviewed. Have you ever noticed that when a Jonah Hill movie comes out, he's like never really been around talk about it? Well, according to several celebrity news and interview sites, Jonah actually refuses to participate in most interviews simply because the ones that he has done in the past have just been extremely uncomfortable. When he was doing press for the movie Superbad, several of the interviewers were asking Jonah questions about his weight, calling him a large comedian over and over again. Now, he may be a large man, but that wasn't necessarily the selling point of Jonah Hill. The following few years, while still being involved in comedy films, Jonah was dodging questions left and right about his size, going up and down. Eventually, Jonah actually lost a ton of weight for his role alongside Channing Tatum in the comedy movie 21 Jump Street. The interviews for that film were the final straw for Jonah though, now being asked by people why he was so thin, literally fighting one of the most unwinnable battles of interviewer time. Since the early 2010s, Jonah has been sticking to the shadows and simply being in whatever movie comes out. While the line of questioning may have caused him to avoid the interview spotlight, this was around the same time he shifted to a serious role in Moneyball, seemingly proving his mind had snapped. Number 7. Jonah's ex. Recently, a news article broke that has brought to light some troubling information about Jonah Hill. According to his ex-girlfriend Sarah Bradley, Jonah was emotionally damaging towards her during their relationship. The couple first got together in 2021, meeting on a beach as she was a surf instructor. According to a series of texts between Sarah and Jonah, it's obvious that he is mentally manipulative. He tells Sarah to remove any photos of her surfing from Instagram that showed her bum bum in a thong, and when she did that, he told her it was a good start but that she didn't seem to get his point. He then told her, "It's not my place to teach you. I've made my boundaries clear. You refuse to let go of some of them, and you've made that clear, and I hope that makes you happy." In another screenshot, Jonah showed his plans and simple conditions for maintaining their relationship, including stating that he didn't want Sarah surfing with men. You know, like doing her job. He wrote a massive list of boundaries and rules that were clearly him trying to control everything that Sarah did. One point literally saying that she can't post pictures of herself in a bathing suit. What's she supposed to wear to the beach? A turtleneck? His manipulation is apparent and will surely shift Hollywood's opinion on the once great comedian. Number 6. The Wolf of Wall Street. Wolf of Wall Street is considered to be one of Martin Scorsese's best modern movies. The film is based on a book written by the titular wolf Jordan Belfort, chronicling his rise and demise to stock market fortune. In the film, Jonah plays Donnie Azoff, a man who actually quit his job to work for Jordan in the glory days. His character is a good time on screen, but Jonah's ability to play Donnie is just a little bit too good. Donnie's character spends the majority of the movie being a degenerate and getting his friends either arrested or injured over and over again. According to Martin Scorsese, Jonah would just walk on set and go in. No prep, no routine, he would just go. This should have been the biggest red flag of them all. If someone playing an evil wizard had just walked on set one day and started shooting lightning balls out of their hands, you'd be like, "Oh my god, that guy's a real wizard." When Jonah was able to easily switch between himself and the womanizing substance user he plays on screen, Martin should have called a psychiatrist to give this guy a good once-over. Number 5. His rapid change in weight. Many performers are able to shrink and grow seemingly at will. Look at Christian Bale. He has gained and lost weight over and over again for roles over the years, attributing the dramatic changes to a form of method acting, allowing him to literally embody his characters. Jonah is no stranger to this concept, as he was spotted over 100 pounds lighter in 21 Jump Street than he had previously been in the movie Moneyball. I guess when you're nominated for an Oscar, they give you some kind of a gym membership or something. We should look into that. While Jonah's rapid shrinking and growing isn't necessarily a red flag per se, we can't imagine that the rapid change is good for his body, and with the news of his possible toxic behavior, it appears that that change may have affected his mental health as well. In his most recent flick, You People, alongside comedy legend Eddie Murphy, Jonah appears to have returned to his larger build and returned to the realm of comedy. Now, I haven't personally seen the movie, but the reviews so far suggest that it may be one of those movies that you throw on in the background, you know, just kind of put it on while people are hanging out. Just not a good one. Number 4, his attitude on set. Jonah may have started his career as a comedy king, but his attitude on set is anything but fun. According to many directors over the years, Jonah is a very gifted actor, able to come to set prepared for work every day with no hesitation. The only overall problem seems to be his communication skills. Jonah is known to be a very quiet and reclusive man on set, apparently spending a majority of his time in trailers away from the cast and crew. He's also known to be rather quiet while being given directions or while waiting for a scene to be reset. Like, imagine being a PA on on set, you're standing next to the guy from Superbad and he's just on his phone playing Candy Crush all day. People always say it's the quiet ones that you have to worry about, and it seems that his quiet time may have been spent contemplating the meaning of life and his role in it. Or he spends it making a mental list of all the things that his partner needs to do to please him in a relationship. That might be it too. Number 3, he turned down The Hangover. Arguably one of the funniest trilogies in recent history has been The Hangover Saga, a series of films following 3 friends trying to piece together the wild night they had before. They lose their friends on roofs, they steal monkeys, and Ken Jeong is in it, so you cannot go wrong. What many people may not know is that the role of Alan, played by Zach Galifianakis, was actually offered to Jonah Hill over 3 times before they just finally gave up. While there was no specific reason why he didn't want to participate in this, a low-budget flick called Cyrus was released not long after The Hangover started production. It seemed that Jonah wanted to work in a more serious role instead of participating in one of the highest-grossing comedy trilogies of all time. While Cyrus was an interesting movie, it follows Jonah playing the titular son, living with his mother, played by Marissa Tomei, who befriends and begins to date John C. Reilly. It's a great movie, but it's nowhere near the caliber of the Hangover series, so we just wonder how hard Jonah was kicking himself after that one. Number 2, he canned 23 Jump Street. Alright, this is an entry that actually hurts to talk about, so I just need a second because it would have been really cool if they had made it, okay? In 2012, Jonah and Channing Tatum starred in a comedy reboot of the classic crime series 21 Jump Street for a more modern audience. The film received massive success at the box office and was quickly picked up for the sequel treatment. The sequel ended up being one of those few examples in Hollywood history of a second movie being better than the first, which is why it was so surprising to hear that the planned threequel 23 Jump Street was canned by Sony Studios. The main reason being, well, it was just too ambitious for Jonah. You see, the third entry in the franchise was going to be a massive crossover between 2 Sony properties. Jonah and Channing were set to cross paths with Tommy Lee Jones and Will Smith's characters from the Men in Black trilogy. The leaked script told the story of Jonah and Channing's characters investigating a new substance at a university, only to discover that the suppliers are extraterrestrials being hunted by the Men in Black. The idea of Jonah and Channing wearing that black suit and shades while holding comedically large it makes my soul sing with joy. A script was written, but ultimately the studio thought it just wouldn't make any money and end up being a massive misstep in the franchise. Apparently Jonah actually had something to do with this too. You see, while Channing was filled with excitement towards this project, Jonah felt that the entire thing was going to be one giant pain. His under-enthusiasm made the studio nervous to go forward with what would have been one of the best movies in the last 10 years. Instead, Sony decided to reboot the Men in Black franchise with Tessa Thompson and Chris Hemsworth, and it's just bad. It's just really bad. And at number 1, everything about him. I know it's a bit of a cop-out to say that the biggest red flag is everything that Jonah Hill has done, but am I wrong? As mentioned on this list, this guy has shifted his weight up and down, he's ignored his cast and crew while on set, he's flippy-floppy all over the genre map, and he's been mentally manipulative towards the women in his life. Jonah was a light in the early days. People remember him bringing joy to the set and always being in a good mood. But as the years went by, things got worse and worse, to the point that he now just does his job, grabs his check, and moves on to the next project. Now that he's been outed as being a mentally manipulative man in his personal life, we can only imagine the slew of backlash and cancellation that Jonah is surely about to face.
Coming in at number 10 today, we have the mattress photo controversy. So Gucci is currently receiving backlash on social media from social media users for an ad campaign that was posted on December 19th starring Harry Styles. Since last week, the brand has continued to post photos of Styles on Instagram while they were promoting Gucci's Ha 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 campaign. In the ads, Harry could be seen posing with what appears to be a smaller sized mattress as he is dressed in a teddy bear, graphic tee, and trousers. While the campaign was first introduced back in November, Gucci is now facing criticism for the set props. With the props being a children's mattress, many people have been addressing their concerns, with one person saying, "Why is a toddler bed in this? Why the teddy bear t-shirt? What is the angle aside from Strange Things?" And a lot of people have been pointing out that the similarities that Gucci's campaign had are pretty similar to Balenciaga's campaign. That was embroiled just weeks before online after the campaign involved children holding French labeled teddy bears wearing some adult gear. With Balenciaga and Gucci being owned by the same company, the controversy wasn't really a shock to many. However, now it just proves that something concerning is going on with parent company Kering, as they keep bringing children into their campaigns under concerning circumstances. Though Gucci hasn't really spoken out about the ads yet, the campaign came to light under the director of Alessandro Michele, who since left the company after becoming the creative director back in 2015. Coming at number 9, the Vogue cover. So back in November 2020, Harry Styles would make history as he became the first non-female to have a solo cover in Vogue magazine in the 128 years it's been in print. For his cover shoot, Harry would end up being photographed by Tyler Mitchell. In the photos taken, it could be seen that Harry was wearing a variety of different dresses and brightly colored blouses. While many people praised Harry for breaking down gender norms, there was also a lot of people who criticized him for wearing such feminine pieces, including many conservatives like Candace Owens, who called his Vogue cover an outright attack on the manly men. While his fans and other celebrities came to his defense, like Jamila Jamil, she would even come out in a tweet to say Harry Styles is plenty manly because manly is whatever you want it to be, not what some insecure toxic woman hating D-heads decided it was 100 years ago. He's 104% perfect. Harry also spoke out about the backlash, telling Variety to not wear something because it's feminine clothing. You should shut out a whole world of great clothes, and I think what's exciting about right now is I can wear whatever I want to. It doesn't have to be X or Y. Those lines are becoming more blurred. However, even actor Billy Porter would criticize the cover by saying he felt disconnected from the opportunities for being a gay black man. Coming at number 8 today, we have the Harry House merchandise symbol. Since the release of his third studio album, Harry House, in May of 2022, fans have been eagerly waiting for Harry Styles to drop new merchandise. In August, when the new merchandise was finally announced, it would come with some serious backlash as fans would claim the two capital H's had some anti-Semitic roots, and the signs have been banned in various European countries. With Harry's symbol referencing a certain German symbol, as he would have his logos printed on hats, and he was selling them on tour. When Harry launched his second leg of his Love on tour, he would also release an array of new Harry House merch. And it was so popular, fans were even encouraged to visit the tour venues early to get their hands on it. However, when fans started to point out the Semitic symbol, Harry's team appeared to have responded to the backlash by replacing the hat with an amended version of it, with one fan tweeting, "I get it's supposed to stand for Harry House, but if I see someone walking around with HH on them, I'm gonna assume that it's not Harry Styles fans. I'm gonna assume that the HH means the same thing as 88. And another person even added, "Please take it out of the merch line because it's very triggering and hurtful, not towards Germans, but also especially towards Jewish people." Along with the hats, Harry also had a logo printed on his shirt and hoodies that were uploaded to his website, where you could purchase them before his team decided to change the logo. And number 7, song plagiarism accusations. Throughout the history of music, from time to time, thousands of cases of plagiarism allegations have been reported. With new controversies arising around copyrights in different parts of the world, I don't think any of us were really shocked when fans in Argentina started targeting Harry Styles for plagiarizing his new single, As It Was. When the British artist shared on his social media a small preview of the song for a few seconds on December 13th, detailing the song that will be available on April 1st, instantly, Twitter started to claim that the preview of the song was identical to a song by an Argentina group, Miranda, called El Profe. A few hours later, the Latin American band would become a huge trend on Twitter, and when more tweets started to appear, they seemed to demand justice for the alleged creator for stealing a project from another music group. With his debut album, he also has been accused of using an identical guitar riff as the 1968 Beatles song Blackbird. While Harry tends to stay away from the attention, we definitely won't see him speak on this matter anytime soon unless it magically becomes a topic that truly matters to the star. Coming in number 6 today, we have ignored BLM sign. So back in 2017, after the release of his first solo album, Harry would embark on tour and he would start playing at a number of different shows. While he was acknowledging the LGBTQ flags and spoke out in support of women, fans would become slightly outraged when he chose to ignore the Black Lives Matter flags in the crowd. In a blog post written by Infinity, writer Victoria Monar would question why Styles had chosen to remain silent when it it came to the Black Lives Matter issue and why he still hasn't used his massive platform to raise awareness for the issue. During a concert in London, audience members had been given signs that read Black Lives Matter, and one fan even ended up throwing their sign on the stage. Although Harry didn't pick up the sign or look at it, chose to completely ignore the flags and the signs, and he even proceeded to step on them on the stage. During an interview with New York Times, Style had even been asked if any outside chaos had influenced his solo album, referring to the issues of the Brexit, Black Lives Matter, and the American election at the time. Style would then go on to say, with a really vague answer, Sign of the Times had been looking at several different things. When he was asked what those kind of things were, he then told the interviewer everything you were talking about. At number 5, we have the Roy Moore joke. While guest hosting on the Late Late Show for James Corden back in 2017, Styles made a joke that didn't really go down quite as well with his fans that he thought it would, according to the Daily Mail. During his open monologue, Harry would even decide to make a joke about the Republican Senate Roy Moore, who had just lost to a Democrat, Doug Jones, in Alabama, which is typically a state that tends to be a red state. Harry would then go on to say, if you're anything like me, the only thing that you and your friends are talking about at the moment is the Alabama state race. Many of you would think that I'm unfamiliar with Roy Moore for being a Brit. That is not true. I am very familiar with Roy Moore. I've had to throw him out of a dozen of my concerts. While the audience did have a good laugh at the joke, many fans on Twitter didn't share the same thought, with one user saying, "You think because he's Harry Styles he gets a pass, well sis he doesn't. You can keep screaming at the wall, but the rest of us will hold him accountable." Now, Harry has never issued an apology or acknowledging the joke after he received backlash for it, and you probably won't, especially since the controversy surrounding Roy Moore surrounds children. Coming at number 4 today, we have culture appropriation. Back when Harry was still in One Direction, he decided it would be a good idea to post a black and white photo of himself wearing a Native American headdress. With the photo receiving immediate backlash, a One Direction Twitter fan page called He's Problematic would be the first to comment on the photos after Harry uploaded them. The page would then say, Harry appropriated the Native American culture by posing in a native headdress and putting up a picture of himself in it on social media. People called him out for culture appropriation, but again, he never apologized for it. Now, it wasn't the first time that Harry has made some headlines about culture appropriation, as the page also called him out on retweeting pictures of himself in a digitalized blackface with other edits that mocked black culture. And just like the issue with the headdress, he never issued an apology, even though people called him out for it. I think it would be a great time to note that culture appropriation is not nice regardless of the context or intent. So before you get braids or wear a headdress, maybe think about why these things are so sacred and why they hurt certain cultures, and admire them from afar and just leave it at that. After Harry's photos received a horrendous amount of backlash, he would take photos down and would proceed to stay quiet on the issue, as he has never issued an apology for his actions. And number 3, the Super Bowl announcement. So in 2020, Harry would announce that he would be performing at the Super Bowl event in Florida. According to the Metro, the announcement was immediately met with backlash. While many of Harry's fans urged the singer to pull out of the performance due to the NFL's racist past, especially with how they treated some former players, he ultimately decided to go ahead and perform at the NFL Pepsi Super Bowl party. With both the NFL and Pepsi being known for being racist, Harry's decision to perform at the event contradicts his claims to support Black Lives Matter, with his black fans requesting him to back out of the trend by creating a hashtag #HarryBackOut on Twitter. They would find themselves being ignored on social media, with the hashtag trending on social media. Many of Harry's fans would urge Harry to cancel his performance. While many people understood it might be hard for him not to perform due to his contractual agreement, they would encourage Harry to donate any money he made at the event to a Black Lives Matter organization, with one fan writing, "POC, fans have the right to feel valued and respected. And if they aren't, I understand that Harry can't back out. I understand that Harry can't back out because of a contract, but he can speak up more and he can donate to BLM or other causes." And while his fans made some amazing suggestions, Harry did not donate the money that he made at the event to any cause. Coming at number 2 today, we have Olivia Wilde. With 2022 being a big year for Harry Styles as he's been touring, the singer also got his break in acting as he had the chance to star in Don't Worry Darling and My Policeman. With both films releasing soon, none of us really know what to expect from the star, which makes the anticipation really high for these films. During an interview with Rolling Stone, Harry would extensively discuss his relationship with Olivia Wilde, which began after they met on the set of Don't Worry Darling. While Harry's fans tend to be really supportive of his new relationships, his relationship with Olivia is one his fans just can't get over as they keep urging the star to leave her. With Olivia cheating on Jason Sudeikis to get with Harry Styles, there would soon be a lot of toxic negativity that started to surround Harry's relationship with Olivia. With having a 10-year age gap, fans would even start to make jokes and troll Olivia. Although she was a good sport when it came to the criticism, we all kept saying that there was something really off about her nice and friendly nature. And then the cast members of Don't Worry Darling started to speak up about how horrible she was to them on the set. And anyone who dates someone that horrible is known to be just as bad. And coming in at number 1 today, we have My Policeman. Harry Styles has been slammed by fans after making a comment that the film's deception of gay intimate scenes are usually 2 guys going at it. When the singer spoke to Rolling Stone about his new film, My Policeman, in which he plays a homosexual police officer hiding his sexuality in the 1950s, he would ignite some serious backlash when he spoke of his desire to express tenderness in the film's love scenes. Harry, who also detailed his refusal to confirm to a sexuality label to discuss his journey to figuring out his sexuality, said that the intimate scenes between the 2 men in the films is just them going at it, and it removes all the tenderness of love from it. Harry would then go on to know, I would imagine that some people who watch it, who are very much alive during the time when it was illegal to be gay, and wanted to show that it is tender, loving, and sensitive. With one fan coming out to say, if he doesn't want to label himself, I don't care, but he shouldn't be giving his opinion about a community that he doesn't even want to claim.
Number 10. Power dynamics. Workplace romances are never a good idea. Not only does it have the potential to get awkward if you break up, but you might have to take into account a power dynamic as well. Ned was the executive producer of the Try Guys. The 35-year-old comedian and author founded the group in 2014 while working for BuzzFeed, which turned out to be YouTube gold, and they now have almost 8 million followers on their channel. Alex Herring, on the other hand, worked under Ned as the associate producer. And over the years, she has been featured in many of their YouTube videos, probably because their workplace is so small. So naturally, the employees would become relatively close with each other over time. That doesn't change the fact that Ned was still Alex's boss, and even if the 2 of them weren't cheating on their respective partners, their relationship would still be unethical because of their positions in the company. If you're loving this video so far, please hit that like button, it would really help us out. Number 9. Flaunting his affair. Although Ned and Alex did a fair amount of sneaking around, and who knows how long for, they didn't really try to hide the fact that they were seeing each other when they went into a club in New York. It was a Reddit user who goes by the name of Hamilton390 who claimed that they saw the 2 of them kissing on the dance floor. They wrote, so basically I went out to a Niagara club last night and saw her making out with Ned from the Try Guys. I have videos if needed. She was wearing a red dress, I don't know if that helps. The user also claimed that they talked to Ariel for an hour about the situation. Fans also saw that many of the Try Guys' employees, including Keith, Zach, and Eugene, unfollowed Alex and Ned on social media. Fellow Food Baby and Try Guys senior editor YB Chang also unfollowed them. Alex's fiance Will unfollowed her and removed all pictures of them together on his Instagram and made his account private. So pretty soon the picture became crystal clear. Number 8. Female audience. If you've watched any of the Try Guys' videos, references to Ned's wife abounded from the beginning. In fact, just the way he says "my wife" has earned a catchphrase status and inspired countless compilation videos and even official Try Guys merchandise, including a figurine with a plastic Ned that repeats the phrase "my wife" at the press of a button. People feel that they demonstrate examples of good, non-toxic masculinity, and the connection that the audience feels to these men is very real. In fact, of the more than 8 million subscribers to the Try Guys YouTube channel, the vast majority of the audience is women, nearly 80%. The age demographic is young, particularly women in their late teens and early 20s. Having a large female audience is not a red flag flag in and of itself, but it goes to show you that there was always a performative aspect to Ned's feminism, and that was the whole reason why he had a fan base at all. So by betraying their image of him, he literally has nothing left. Number 7, his apology. Just 2 days after the news broke out, the Try Guys announced on Instagram that Ned had been fired. The official statement said, "Ned Fulmer is no longer working for the Try Guys. As a result of an internal review, we do not see a path forward together. We thank you for your support as we navigate through this change." After the post, Ned took to his own Instagram, confirming that he had cheated on his wife. He said, "Family should have always been my priority, but I lost focus and had a consensual workplace relationship. I'm sorry for any pain that my actions may have caused to the guys and the fans, but most of all to Ariel. The only thing that matters right now is my marriage and my children. And that's where I'm going to focus my attention." The way his so-called apology was worded is extremely telling, because he was clearly just trying to make it sound better than it actually was. I'm sure Ariel did not consent to their relationship, so there was no point putting that last part in there. Number 6, Try Guys' reaction. Keith, Zach, and Eugene had to act quickly when Ned's character as a devoted husband and father fell apart and breached an essential contract with the audience. Despite the fact that they've known each other for years and built a successful brand together, the rest of the Try Guys literally wasted no time in cutting ties with their friend, and released a statement just 2 days after the news broke out. On their official Instagram page, they stated that Ned had been fired. Quote, "Ned Fulmer is no longer working for the Try Guys. As a result of an internal review, we do not see a path forward together. We thank you for your support as we navigate through this change." The action was so swift that it surprised a lot of people, but judging by how quick it was, it seems likely that they all knew what was going on, given that it was such a small workplace. But it remains to be seen how this scandal will affect their primary channel, and the other people tangled up in the mess of it all. Number 5, wife guy facade. If anyone is wondering why Ned's infidelity is particularly egregious news, even the most casual fans of the Try Guys know that Ned Fulmer, who is one of the show's 4 stars, is an official wife guy. It's literally his whole brand. In almost every video, he would gush over his wife and play the part of an adoring husband so well that he was able to monetize it. The man even co-authored a cookbook with his wife titled The Date Night Cookbook. Ned and Ariel have 2 children together and both host a parenting podcast called Baby Steps. So from the outside, it really seems like they have it all. For Gen Z, the media circus surrounding the scandal is something akin to the cheating claims against John Mulaney, who allegedly cheated on his ex-wife and impregnated Olivia Munn almost immediately after exiting rehab in 2021. Prior to their respective cheating controversies, both guys were decently liked men who branded themselves as uber-devoted husbands, and that's what makes this story so much worse. Number 4, sneaking around. So when did people start to suspect that Ned was cheating? The internet conjured up some theories as to why the content creator was not involved in some of their videos for the last couple of weeks. In late September, the tweet that prefaced the drama wrote, "Fans began noticing that Ned was not present in some of the recent Try Guys' projects. Ned does not appear in the past 3 videos or intros. He also was not in the past 3 podcast episodes." As a main producer and one of the faces of the company, fans found this extremely worrying, so they started to become more vigilant of his appearances in the Try Guys videos. It was also very suspicious that Ned and Alex were seen in an Instagram photo promoting Keith's new Eat the Menu series, but they were not seen in the final cut of the video. So Ned had essentially been absent quite a bit in the last couple of weeks, but he obviously didn't think anyone would pick up on it. Number 3, Alex Herring. If Ned cheating on Ariel was not bad enough, it turns out that Alex Herring, the woman he was seeing, was also engaged to her fiance Will Thayer at the time. The couple have been together for more than a decade. So this story is full of betrayal no matter which way you look at it. According to her Instagram, AA Herring, Alex has been dating Will since 2011, when she posted a photo of them with face masks on with the caption, "Cleansing our pores." They met at university and celebrated their 5-year anniversary at Disneyland in June of 2016. At the time of Alex and Ned's cheating scandal, Alex and Will were engaged and together for 11 years. As of today, he has now unfollowed Alex on Instagram, as well as removed all their photos together and made his account private. He's obviously heartbroken, so the worst part is that the affair has ruined 2 relationships, not just one. Number 2, Ned's wife. Ned's wife, Ariel Fulmer, recently released a statement addressing the scandal. She said, "Thanks to everyone who has reached out to me, it means a lot. Nothing is more important to me and Ned than our family. And all we request right now is that you respect our privacy for the sake of our kids. Cheating on anyone is bad, but there's a reason that fans felt especially betrayed when it came out that Ariel Fulmer was the one being wronged. She won over audiences everywhere despite only appearing briefly in a few of the Try Guys' videos. Although she's married to a well-known YouTuber, Ariel prefers to keep her personal life private. it, and is generally the more reserved one in the relationship. She's an interior designer, stylist, author, and host of the podcast You Can Sit With Us. Although Ariel has said that she doesn't want herself or her children to be on the internet as much, Ned has regularly posted pictures of their young sons online and regularly shared updates about their family life. So if anything, this scandal has just pushed her even more into the public eye. And coming in at number 1, BuzzFeed reaction. They say that no one knows you better than your co-workers, and in Ned's case, that might be true as well. Former BuzzFeed alum Devin Lytle tweeted, 2022, the year we realized that wife guys are still guys. Jasmine Robbins posted a cryptic meme with Kermit the Frog and wrote, y'all shocked? So she made it seem like the affair between Ned and Alex was something of an open secret back when they both worked at BuzzFeed. One Twitter user responded by saying, makes me feel like Ned had wandering eyes for a long time. Maybe that's why he made I love my wife his thing, to overcompensate. Couples who always flaunt how happy they are and in love they are usually have something to prove. It was right in front of us the whole time, I guess. So it's entirely possible that Ned's on-camera nice guy persona was exactly that, just a persona, and that behind the scenes he had no issues cheating on Ariel, as long as he never got caught.
Number 10, the CinemaCon incident. As Olivia was presenting at CinemaCon and promoting her new movie Don't Worry Darling, a woman from the audience approached her while she was still on stage and handed her a yellow envelope, which read personal and confidential. The whole thing was caught on camera, and as the actress opened the envelope, she found out it was custody papers from her former partner Jason Sudeikis. After a brief moment of shock, she decided to continue on with her presentation, but later decided to accuse her ex of maliciously planning the incident. She told Variety, in any other workplace, it would be seen as an attack. I hated that this nastiness distracted from the work of so many different people, and that the studio that I was up there representing, and to try and sabotage that was really vicious. But you know, sadly, it was not something that was entirely surprising to me. I mean, there's a reason I left that relationship, but the truth is that Jason was not able to choose the time or the place that the papers were served. So Olivia claiming that he was trying to sabotage her moment was completely untrue. If you're loving this video so far, please hit that like button, it would really help us out. Number 9, Harry Styles' relationship. If there's one thing that the internet loves to do right now, it's tear down the romance between Olivia Wilde and Harry Styles. The couple met on the set of the movie Don't Worry Darling, which Olivia directed. He joined the cast in the fall of 2020, and by January 2021, the duo was spotted holding hands at a wedding, which naturally caused everyone to lose their mind. There has also been a lot of valid criticism directed at the couple, with some people questioning the timeline of their relationship, and they felt that Olivia moved on just too quickly after breaking up with her ex Jason Sudeikis. Former couple called off their 7-year engagement in November last year, and they shared 2 kids together. But most of the hate is due to the fact that she's 10 years older than Harry, which gets brought up a lot when we see that an older woman is dating a younger man, but often it's not the other way around. They are also mad that she is in a position of power over him, as she directed the movie that he was starring in. So in a way, their whole relationship is a huge red flag. Number 8, queerphobia. Olivia Wilde has faced huge backlash after alleged homophobic comments she made in previous interviews resurfaced online. The 38-year-old actress has been slammed by the LGBTQ+ community for comparing changing roles in her career to that of someone who was making a life-changing decision about sexuality. In the interview, she was talking about what it was like going from being an actress to being a director, and she said it felt like coming out of the closet. She angered that same community again on another occasion, when she said that before she met Jason Sudeikis in 2011, she considered having a soft kind of lesbian relationship. Although it's totally fine to question your sexuality, people were mainly upset that Olivia claimed to have considered becoming gay just because she was lonely, which feeds into the stereotype that women only get into queer relationships because they don't seem to have any men in their life. Number 7, Shia LaBeouf comments. The actor was initially cast as Jack in Don't Worry Darling. However, pretty soon news broke in September of 2020 that Olivia had replaced him with Harry Styles. But the story that she began circulating was a little strange. She alleged that she fired Shia due to a no a-hole policy that she had while directing. She told Variety, Shia's process was not conducive to the ethos that I demand in my productions. He has a process that in some ways seems to require a combative energy, and I don't personally believe that it is conducive to the best performances. Ultimately, my responsibility is to the production and to the cast to protect them. Just by her choice of words, Olivia made it sound as though he was a danger to the cast and crew, and that she had to fire him in order to protect everyone on set. This would have been easy for her to say, considering that Shia is being plagued by accusations of domestic violence violence at the moment, but in this instance, it was a blatant lie. Number 6, Kiki Layne. When it comes to the widely publicized drama surrounding Don't Worry Darling, there is new information being spilled every day. Kiki Layne and Ariel Stachel are now speaking out about how they were cut from most of the movie. They played the characters Margaret and Ted Watkins. Margaret serves as Alice's close friend and helps the protagonist in solving the mystery behind the Victory Project. The actress recently posted a video and 2 sweet images of the on-screen couple from the movie set on Instagram, but it was her caption that got everyone talking. She wrote, "The best thing about Don't Worry Darling is that I am lucky enough to meet Ariel Stachel. They cut us from most of the movie, but we're thriving in real life." When her Instagram post blew up, the outrage also grew. And one user commented, "Olivia Wilde cut a majority of the only POC characters out of her movie, marketed as a movie showcasing female pleasure, when it was only about women being literally entrapped without their consent. And you still want to defend her?" Number 5, leaked video. In response to Olivia's comments, Shia publicly exposed the truth behind his leaving of the project. And in the biggest revenge move ever, he emailed both Olivia and Variety magazine, saying, "You and I both know the reasons for my exit. I quit your film because your actors and I couldn't find the time to rehearse. Firing me never took place, Olivia. And while I fully understand the attractiveness of pushing that story because of the current social landscape, the social currency that brings, it is not the truth. So I am humbly asking, as the person with an eye toward making things right, that you correct the narrative as best as you can." Shia then leaked a video of Olivia practically begging him to stay in the film and making it seem like Florence Pugh was the only one who didn't want him there. In the clip, she tells Shia that she is not ready to give up on the possibility of him working in the film, saying, "The fact that you're leaving might be a bit of a wake-up call to Miss Flo." That video went viral and the result was utter chaos. Number 4, underpaying Florence. Early into the production of the movie, there were reports that Harry earned triple his co-star's salary, despite Florence being the film's leading lady. In early August, Showbiz Galore reported that she only took home $700,000 for her role as Alice, which sounds like a lot, but Harry was reported to be paid $3 million to play the supporting role of Jack, her husband, which if true would also be even more than the other notable co-stars in the film, like Chris Pine, who reportedly only made $600,000. But Olivia refuted the allegations and told Variety there is absolutely no validity to those claims. There has been a lot out there and I largely don't pay attention to it. She went on to call the pay disparity non-existent and said, "I'm a woman who has been in this business for over 20 years, and it's something that I have fought for myself and others, especially being a director. It's no secret that it's been an ongoing battle for men and women to have the same pay for film projects that they do together, so it's understandable that fans were fuming at the possibility that Florence was actually underpaid." Number 3, rude jokes. In March of 2011, after 8 years of marriage, Olivia filed for divorce from her first husband, Italian Prince Taurus Poli. While he was heartbroken after the split, it seemed like the actress was more focused on publicly humiliating her ex. In 2020, at an event hosted by Glamour magazine, she discussed trying to fake happiness with her ex-husband towards the end of her marriage. In fact, she aired out all their dirty laundry and even talked about how bad their sex life was. Quote, "I felt like my died, turned off, lights out. You can lie to your relatives at Christmas dinner and tell them everything on the home front is just peachy, but you cannot lie to your..." It really sounded like that was her attempt at a sex joke, but it wasn't great considering that it sounded like she just wanted to get up on stage and say that Tao was bad in bed. Even if she was joking, many people would agree that the whole thing was done in bad taste. Number 2, Richard Jewell. When the 2019 film came out, it was steeped in controversy, mostly because of Olivia's portrayal of real-life journalist Kathy Scruggs. The real Kathy, who died in 2001, was working at the Atlanta Journal-Constitution when she broke a story that the FBI was investigating the security guard Richard Jewell for the in Centennial Olympic Park during the 1996 Olympics. But the issue with the movie was that it depicted the iconic female journalist as having traded sex for information, which was particularly offensive considering the fact that there was no evidence that the real Kathy Scruggs ever did that. And even many of her past colleagues ended up coming forward and condemning the movie. In general, Olivia didn't seem to see a problem with it and actually made several statements defending the movie. But audiences found her character to be sexist, demeaning, and an outright insulting trope imposed on women. This led to a boycott of the film, as a lot of people in the journalism industry were up in arms over the portrayal. And coming in at number 1, the premiere. While Florence Pugh did not end up walking the red carpet, the internet could literally not get over how distant she was from Olivia the whole time. The 26-year-old was obviously giving her the cold shoulder, which comes as no surprise following all the rumors of tension between the two actresses. Not only that, but the weird vibes continued into the screening, where Florence and Olivia had to be seated 3 people apart. According to multiple eyewitnesses inside the screening, the actresses maintained their cold demeanors towards each other, and Florence even turned away from her when she started crying during the standing ovation. While yes, she did walk the festival's red carpet with the rest of the cast, she only posed for group shots, and the 2 women were not photographed together alone at all. And Florence didn't even pose for pictures with Harry either. So as much as Olivia loves to deny it, it's clear that there is still some deep resentment between them, and it would be very unlikely that they ever work together again in the future.
At number 10, we have Tom's accusations of forcing Scientologists to do grueling labor work for him. Over the past decade, numerous ex-members belonging to the Church of Scientology have stepped forward to point blame at the church for gross misconduct alongside several other allegations, and it seems Tom centers around the negativity. Former Inspector General Mark Rathburn once told R Online in 2011 that he obtained secret emails which proved that Scientologists were laborly forced to build a luxury bus to gift to Tom. In 2013, 15 ex-Scientologists also claimed Tom took reoccurring advantage of members while only paying them $1 per hour to complete endless jobs. Reports of their leader ordering them included completing the renovation of his home in Beverly Hills in 2004, overseeing the construction of a large custom motorhome for Cruise over a 5-month period, and assisting in the customization and construction of a special limousine for Tom Cruise. Former COS high-ranker Amy Scooby once described having to locate Scientologists for Tom Cruise's household to cover the positions of nanny, cook, and maid. Reported documents allege that anyone who did not meet the requirements of their orders faced inhumane punishments. What are your thoughts on Tom Cruise's 10th red flag? Tell us in the comments below. At number 9, we have his apparent comparison of acting to fighting in Afghanistan. According to the reported deposition from 2013, during his $50 million lawsuit against Bauer Media, the actor supposedly informed the court that on-location filming was just as taxing as serving a tour of duty. The lawyer of the opposite legal team had brought up his absence from Surrey, which publicly equated it for these extended periods of time as being analogous to someone fighting in Afghanistan. Are you aware of that? Tom reportedly responded with, "Didn't hear the Afghanistan, but that's what it feels like, and certainly on this last movie, it was brutal." The press was instant on this headliner, and Tom's lawyer Burt Fields attempted to set the record straight by claiming Tom's remarks were taken entirely out of context. Burt further slammed the assertions that Tom Cruise likened making a movie to being at war in Afghanistan is a gross distortion of the record. What Tom said laughingly was that sometimes that's what it feels like. At number 8, we have Tom's divorce strategy. Tom has gone through 3 marriages so far, all ending in messy headlines and he said she said. However, it's been reported that there is much more in common with his foreign marriages than the fact that they just ended. Apparently there's a pattern shadowing the actor in every one of his splits with his ex-wives Mimi Rogers, Nicole Kidman, and Katie Holmes. According to reports, all 3 ladies were the exact same age when they filed for divorce, as well as each of them is 11 years younger than the last. Many have chalked this scenario up as a coincidence that he ended his marriage with them at the specific age of 33. However, others have noted that 33 is indeed a significant number for Tom's Church of Scientology. NY Daily News once reported, quote, "The original membership organization for the controversial religious group, the Hubbard Association of Scientologists, was founded in Phoenix, Arizona, which lies on the 33rd parallel." Outside of this theory though, there have been other simpler suggestions for this pattern, which is that Tom just has a preference for dating women under 33 and sticks to that no matter what. Regardless, it could be anything really. At number 7, we have Tom being accused of brainwashing his eldest younglings. While Nicole and Tom were still together, they adopted 2 kids named Isabella and Connor. However, once they split, it was stated that Tom did his very best to convince them that they needed to cut their mom out of their lives. This shocking allegation came from former Scientologist Sam Domingo in 2019 when Sam told R Online Tom made the decision to disconnect from Nicole and have his children disconnect. Sam claimed Isabella and Connor were forced into Scientology school and the removal removal of their mother. Furthermore, Sam went on to add that they were brainwashed by growing up without choices and that they are most notably being used as leverage for the church, and it's not right. Since this, Connor has reportedly been formulated into becoming the quote perfect Scientologist and remains under constant supervision as per the church-owned hotel surveillance. Isabella, on the other hand, started a promotional video for the church's London branch, which encouraged members to intern as auditors, where Isabella described how she felt the training was incredible and thanked her dad for everything. At number 6, we have Tom's toxic Mission Impossible 7 rant. His viral spiel during unprecedented times for the film industry reportedly resulted in a handful of crew members quitting. While the question of when filming for this movie will finally end has been up in the air for movie enjoyers since production halted during the prime time of the worldwide health policies, apparently Tom cost the team a lot more than monetary value can replace. While resuming shooting for the high-budget project, Tom famously scolded 2 crew members who allegedly failed to stick to official guidelines. Following this, reports detailed that 5 team members stepped down. The Sun described the December 14th occurrence, which faced obvious backlash. A source dished to the publication, "The first outburst was big, but things haven't calmed since. Tension has been building for months, and this was the final straw. There's been more anger and several staff have walked, but Tom just can't take anymore after all the lengths they've gone through just to keep filming. He's upset others aren't taking it as seriously as him. In the end, he's the one who carries the can." At number 5, we have Tom Cruise reportedly leaving his daughter Suri Cruise behind. Tom wants absolutely no one to think he just left his youngest daughter hanging to dry. However, this is exactly what several stories are claiming over the past couple of years. In 2012, Tom filed his lawsuit against Bauer Media for their articles, which appeared in Life and Style and In Touch, with claims that he turned his back on his daughter. However, he was later forced to admit in his deposition the following year that he hadn't seen Suri for an extended period of time because of his work. In 2012, it was marked at 100 days since he last saw her, and by 2016, In Touch had reports detailing over 1,000 days. A source informed the magazine that Tom, quote, uses his film commitments as an excuse, but the truth is that doesn't hold much weight with Suri anymore. The source added Tom's connection to Scientology with this, and their disconnection policy as well. Quote, he's disconnected from Suri because of her connection to Katy. He hasn't seen her since she was 7. At number 4, we have Tom punishing Scientologists. According to rumors stemming from former devoted member Leah Remini, who dished it all in her 2013 published piece, Troublemakers Surviving Hollywood and Scientology, there are a number of horror stories about their most famous member during Leah's time there. In November 2018, Leah described to the Daily Beast that Scientologists are told that Tom Cruise is saving the world single-handedly, so he is considered a deity within Scientology. Leah further alleged that Tom is scarily aware of what takes place in Scientology, as he has reportedly been a part of it all. Leah added that she's previously been told by a senior executive of Scientology who was there that David constantly threatened their staff with bringing Tom Cruise to Gold Base. Aside from this, Leah also described to the outlet that there was a time when Tom personally punished a high-ranking member under David's orders. Of course, the COS rapidly shut down these allegations, telling ET Canada the interview is a PR stunt to promote her fake reality TV show. Remini has gone out of her way to manufacture hate and instigate harm toward innocent people. At number 3, we have Tom criticizing Brooke Shields' fight with postpartum depression. Back in 2005, Brooke showcased her mental health struggles through her Down Came the Rain, My Journey Through Postpartum Depression memoir. Her Get Real tell-all follows the arrival of her daughter Rowan back in 2003. Brooke was uber honest about her use of therapy and antidepressants to cope, and this seemed to press Tom greatly. At the time, the actor spoke with Access Hollywood about how he felt Brooke's positive spin on her use of antidepressants was irresponsible. He further went on to say, when someone says medication has helped them, it is to cope. It didn't cure anything. There is no science. There's nothing that can cure them whatsoever. I care about Brooke because I think she is an incredibly talented woman, but look where her career has gone. However, Brooke was not here for any of that and slammed Tom back in a New York Times op-ed, writing, comments like those made by Tom Cruise are a disservice to mothers everywhere. If any good can come from Mr. Cruise's ridiculous rant, let's hope that it gives much needed attention to a serious disease. Brooke later also told People, Tom should stick to saving the world from aliens and let women who are experiencing postpartum depression decide what treatment options are best for them. At number 2, we have Tom's alleged ties to the COS auditioning wives for him. In between Nicole and Katy, apparently, the Church of Scientology attempted to scope out the ideal wife for the actor. At least that is according to a mind-boggling Vanity Fair report in 2012. The VF article suspected that Shelley, wife of leader David, was hand-selecting the perfect girlfriend for their star member. During 2004, there was a rumored audition that took place with actresses who were also a part of the COS, who were called into what they originally assumed was a training film audition. However, according to reports, the actors were supposedly asked questions about Tom, and then in October 2004, Homeland actress Nazanin Bonayati was apparently chosen as the frontrunner. In line with the magazine, Nazanin partook in daily audits over the course of a month and was forced to disclose every single detail about herself with nothing off limits. In November of that year, Nazanin was eventually selected to go on a date with Tom, but she was reportedly told to break up with her boyfriend, remove her braces, and darken her hair first. According to sources, the actress also signed numerous confidentiality agreements, but the romance derailed in January 2005. Insiders claim Tom would report his live-in girlfriend to the staff of COS if he wasn't pleased with her actions. Resultantly, Tom apparently got someone to break up with her, with the explanation that the actor wanted someone with her own power, like Nicole. At number 1, we have Tom being the reason why his former divorces ended. Is Scientology to blame for the split from his ex-wives? A number of ex-Scientologists seem to think so. Previous high-ranking Scientologist Marty Rathburn alleged that his job was to facilitate the breakup with Nicole Kidman because she was a non-believer. In the 2015 documentary Going Clear: Scientology and the Prison to Believe. To corroborate these claims, Leah informed US Weekly that the Celebrity Center's senior vice president, quote, used confidential Scientology counseling sessions to bring a wedge between Tom and his wife Nicole because Nicole didn't want to do Scientology anymore, adding that through Marty Rathburn, he and David were able to get rid of Nicole to get Tom closer to Scientology. Tom and Nicole split back in 2001, and Nicole went viral during the finalization process when she exited her lawyer's office in unfiltered bliss. As for Katy, if we time jump to 2006, their marriage was officiated with David as Tom's best man. But in 2012, Tom made claims of being blindsided by Katy's decision to divorce and gain full custody of their daughter Suri. While the COS wasn't directly meddling at the time, it seems the practice was the official fallout between the former couple.